Yeah, buddies. It's the Bennington Show Tuesday. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
I'm Ron Bennington. It seems like it's our salute to dead soul singers this week.
It is.
And Papa don't take no mess.
Papa don't.
He's serious about his music, man.
I love the shriek that he does.
I love the fact that he was the only guy that was like, would wake the band up like 5 o'clock in the morning. Come on, man. After last night's show, you got to get in there and get that shit because you can be replaced. Everybody, I don't care if you're with him for fucking 20 years, you got threatened with you could be replaced. Great fucking show band, though. Great show band.
Yeah, that's the same way we roll, too. Anyone could be replaced at any moment.
Vito's always threatening us. He's always like, Bennington, you know how many Benningtons there are out there? I could just fucking grab another one.
Not too many, though, Vito.
They grow on trees, he says. And then he calls it a strange fruit, which is, quite frankly, racist.
Wow.
Puerto Rico exploding. Trump, I think, has tweeted out that he'll go down there or something in a little bit. I don't know when he said. I think he said next Tuesday. Is that the day that he brought it up?
Yeah.
Good.
He already said we're sending him a lot of stuff, but then I saw stuff on CNN. There's just, it's just frightening. Just frightening what storms can do.
I think his biggest thing was pointing out, let's be honest, it was pretty shabby beforehand. He was kind of saying this morning. Yeah. They've had problems for a while, let's be honest.
Well, this gives us a chance to reboot, do some really nice stuff. Maybe put a lot of golf courses down there. I will say this, though. Because of the weather this year, if there's even a light rain, I scream and start to run. And I just yell, it's a cane, boys. It's a cane. I see clouds. Stressful. I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm going to duck and roll.
Papa don't take no rain.
I think if it rains, you're supposed to duck and roll. If you catch on fire, run. I learned that from the great Richard Pryor. Papa don't take no mess. A lot of talk about the Dallas Cowboys and their owner, Jerry Jones. They took a knee before the anthem. Which had people going, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And yet still got booed, still pissed people off.
Now, here's my issue with this.
Yeah.
I just like a unified protest.
Yeah.
So I just feel like we're sending mixed messages here where we're just like, I'm going to kneel. Well, no, I'm going to sit. No, I'm going to stay in the locker room. I'm going to lock arms. Let's all just pick one and then we can see who are the kneelers and who aren't the kneelers.
I got this word in from the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know whether you know it, but I have a lot of inside sources. And to protest against racial inequality before their game next week, they're going to do the mannequin challenge. And it's going to look like some guys are putting their shoes on, some guys are having a catch.
What was that mannequin challenge song? Because it was like so popular for them during that meme. Then it went away, and I'm like, who was that?
It was the Black Beatles.
That's what they're called.
The name of the song is the Black Beatles, and they call themselves the Black Beatles, but that's not their official name.
That's stupid. How do you have a name that's not your official name? Ladies and gentlemen, our unofficial name, the Black Beatles. First of all, Black Beatles was the way people would refer to as war back in the 1970s. All right, let's hear that song, Chris.
Ray Schremer.
Here's the Black Beatles song. And it's frozen.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
You know what, Chris?
They lose it when the DJ drops the getting so gone, I'm not blinking.
I don't even recall this.
I just remember, like, that girl is a real crowd pleaser. It's like you heard 10 seconds of the song.
Hey, did you see that your song went to number one first time for a female rapper in 19 years? It's up on the iBang. I never know what the name of the song is.
Cardi B is the artist, and the song is Bodak Yellow.
Yeah.
I don't dance now. I'm in money mood.
Now, where's she from that she talks like this?
She's from Queens or Brooklyn, right?
Bronx.
Oh, the Bronx.
Boogie Down?
Yeah. You a worker, bitch.
I make blood.
She's dressed up like she's an Arab.
Yeah.
She's singing like she's Jamaican or something. And she's from the Bronx.
In the club just to party. I'm there, I get paid a fee. I be in and out them banks so much I know they tired of me. Honestly, don't give a fuck about who ain't fond of me. Drop 2 mixtapes in 6 months. What bitch working as hard as me? I don't bother with these
Now,
hoes.
let me ask this. Is she a one-trick pony or is there...
Now I've heard a couple other songs.
Yeah.
Very good. So it's hard
you feel
to
like
say.
she's going to be around a while?
I would hope that she's going to be around a while, but you never know especially when you get a first single that just hits like that, like crazy.
Yeah. Could be milkshakes.
Yeah.
All right, grab Jen for me, would you, Vito? You get out of the fucking way.
She's
Grab
the one
Jen.
who turned me on to Cardi B.
Jen, you got to be feeling on top of the world right now. With Jen's getting it looks like Jen's getting a picture somewhere. No, Vito, no. He's such an idiot. She's trying to get it. No. Oh, god damn
He
it.
ruins everything. Don't get comfortable.
Did I just hear the M-bomb?
Yeah, it
I'm not
happens.
comfortable.
That's when I stopped singing, just for a
Yeah.
second.
That's the only time I sang. That's the ones I jump into.
We're just
There you go. You got the mic now, right, Jen?
Oh, I'm so excited.
All right,
Ooh.
number one in the world. Now, our big question was one trick pony. Or is she gonna?
Oh no. She has
She's got hits.
She has a lot of hits. She has an album coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna last a long time, I think.
Would you say she's the new Gwen Stefani? That she
Gwen
is?
Stefani?
Yeah, the 2017's answer to Gwen Stefani. Like she came out and she's just going to be around. Not a Beyonce, not
Right.
a, you know what I mean?
I
But
agree.
a nice, solid Gwen Stefani.
I'm hoping that she takes over like the Nicki Minaj role, but like bigger.
All right, she's going
Yeah.
to be the next Nicki Minaj.
That's what I think.
Now,
Chris,
I
where do you
saw-
think she is? Because I kind of, when I first, I'm like, this is the new Foghat. You know what I mean? Like, Slow Ride will never go away, but no one younger person knows who did Slow Ride. If you say Foghat to them, they're like, what? Foghat?
That sounds
And then you
made
put
up.
on Slow Ride, and they're like,
I feel like she's more of like a Pink. Like you know, she'll be around for a while.
Pink is like a Gwen Stefani, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pink
Pink
stuck around.
is still fucking around. I saw her at some, I forget what it was, like an awards thing or something not too long. People went fucking crazy for Pink.
Yeah.
And this is like 17 years
Yeah, it's been a
of
while.
Pink. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, Cardi B was on her like Twitter and Instagram, and she was crying and all excited. And she said like the biggest thing was how many female rappers have like reached out to her, tweeted to her, saying congratulations, as opposed to taking this like fuck her, like I can't believe she hit.
We did. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
doing like a girl power thing.
Yep.
Do you know the last rap song that was number one?
Would it?
19 years ago, and this is going to make you guys feel old.
What?
That thing.
What?
Holy shit!
Girl, you know you better watch out.
Whoa.
That was
thing,
19
That thing is always about.
That thing too.
He went to that thing. You did.
Autocorrect.
Is she the Wonders right now? Is that what you're saying? She's definitely the
She's
Wonders.
an Oneater. God, this song was great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I love Lauryn Hill.
And by the way, I thought Lauryn Hill was going to be around forever.
Yeah.
I thought Lauryn Hill, I'm like, okay.
Like people still love her, but she didn't stay at the level she should have.
I
Like
heard-
people still like her.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
know what I heard, right? Cuckoo Cocoa
Yeah.
Puffs.
I have heard that. Yeah.
And the other big news is Kanye looks very fat and middle-aged. There was a picture of him. There was a picture of him. He looks like a retired fucking Dallas Cowboy from 1995.
Dude, over the weekend, oh my God, look at there's a picture of him there. Oh my gosh, he's looking thick, but not in a Kim Kardashian thick kind of way.
You think they mushed that picture to make him look a little...
I don't know. He looked pretty mushy. You're right.
Why?
I mean, that is hilarious. Over the weekend, it just popped in my head how funny it was that we were looking at that picture of Kim Kardashian, and Chris is just like, she is looking great considering she's on her third pregnancy. And we're like, it's a surrogate. Yeah, but still. A lot of
Sympathy
stress.
Chris is dumb.
She's not pregnant.
Can I say something in Chris's defense? He's very dumb.
I miss things sometimes.
Dude, last night, me and you clustered fucked so much that I might end the texting completely.
It got really confusing, and then it started a side text between me and you going, what does any of this mean? We got so confused.
But then he sent me a text today I'm very excited about last night. He put a monkey, an eggplant, and a football, meaning monkey fucking a football. And that was... See, one thing, I didn't know that the person had been changed, and I just went into regular mode,
right?
Like our recording section had been changed. So instead of Chris going, Ron, we made a switch. Did you see the email? He just immediately goes back and tries to book the people who already canceled.
Tried to switch things up.
You tried to make Ronnie B happy,
yes,
which is nice, but you could have just said, oh, did you not see the email?
I could have said that, yes.
You know, remember the email? And I'd go, email? Because I'm very bad about, you know what I mean?
Email is usually, I will admit, it's my worst one too, because I see an email chain with a bunch of people going back and forth, and I'm like, this feels like a lot of work. But if you got a text with the people going back and forth, you'll sit there and read it. But something about it, you're like, oh God, what's this going to be?
Well, we do our football text chain, and then Gail, of course, isn't into it because she's
a girl.
She's a girl, and she's in and out, and she doesn't. And then she'll do something, and then Hard Rock Johnny will say, "Oh my God, Gail's here! Aren't we all?" You know. And then she goes away, and I go, "Now you."
He makes it uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
But I go now because that costs me laughs. Because no offense to you other guys, you're not that funny. Not in text form.
And I didn't get any cred for being a participant this Sunday when Chris was completely dropped off while he was dropping ass.
Well, I said he was at the booze brunch. I thought because you had told us before. I go, he's booze brunching now.
I would have been booze brunching, but I had just a lot of things coming out of me that wasn't very pleasant.
He makes boozy moves.
She's big, huh?
She's great.
Let's all go get tickets and see her.
I would love that. If the Bennington show as a family could go and see Cardi B.
She's playing at the Crown Round in Bradenton, Florida. I think we should all get there.
Our intern, Imani, met her yesterday.
What the fuck are you talking about, Imani? Get over here, Imani.
Imani? You have got to be kidding me.
In the meantime, we didn't meet nobody. Where did you meet her at?
I'm also an intern at Atlantic Records, so I was there.
How many intern jobs do you have?
I gotta keep my options open.
You got health. You're in the healthcare business.
Yes.
At Atlantic
weekends.
At Atlantic Records.
Interning, and I also intern here.
What the fuck?
Crazy. But yesterday they threw us the surprise party for her, and I helped set up. It was really nice. She was like so thankful about everyone. Her whole family was there.
That makes me really like her because I don't understand it all. It's also crazy talk and the video's crazy.
Well, because she's got the stripper with a heart of gold thing. She used to be a stripper. Yeah. She had a busted grill and then she fixed it and now she's a superstar. It's a great story.
It is a great one. Star is born.
I saw this thing on her Instagram where she was complaining everybody be talking about my fake tits. They're fake. You want to complain about my teeth and now I got these fake tits? Who cares? Yeah. So what? They look fake because they is fake. She's amazing.
I like that
She's
attitude.
Amazing.
Let me also say this about Money. I met her boyfriend the other day.
Yeah.
Quite the looker.
Really?
Very handsome. What is it? He plays with the New York Yankees? What is he, in the farm system? He looks like a ball player to me.
I didn't meet him.
Oh, he was standing right next to me.
Yeah.
I think.
Guess what? I had to introduce myself to him because she doesn't. She just let him stand there looking like a young male model.
Why are you shy about having a hot boyfriend?
I wasn't. It was just all business and fun yesterday. I didn't want to hey, it's my boyfriend.
I like that. We like to know everything.
But yeah,
you know?
see him a lot more.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. But good looking kid.
Thank you.
How long have you guys been together?
Only 2 months.
Wow. Wow.
Lock it down.
Yeah. What is it, Chris?
We have a guest stopping by, Mr. Pete Dominick.
Pete Dominick, the recording artist?
from Stand Up with Pete Dominick, which airs on Sirius XM Insight, channel 121, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12.
Let's bring him in.
And his new album, Live, is available on iTunes and on Amazon.com. But hi.
Recording artist Pete Dominick is here with us today. New album, Live. Good to see you.
Great to see you guys or be on the show. I see you guys almost every day as I'm walking out of my show and you're into yours. But Ron, Gail, Chris, thank you very much for having me.
You're always walking a guest out and looking very serious about politics when you walk your guest out.
I think that being seen with people is everything.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know
so
that.
I like to book the best, most high-profile guest I can to walk out. Because not enough people look into the studio and see how important I am.
Good.
So I like to
That's
walk
smart.
past people and then look down on others as I'm doing it. Like right now I'm walking. Did you see O'Reilly was up here yesterday?
No.
I didn't.
Yeah. He
Is
was
he looking for a gig?
He was on somebody's show here and he was wearing like khakis and white shoes and like he was like a grandpa off to a Saturday diner. But it was weird to see him in person. He's a giant man.
Yeah, but he's a Long Island guy, and that's the kind of Long Island kind of
Relaxed.
Sure, yeah.
But it was like
Fancy, relaxed.
It was like seeing somebody outside of there. You know, usually think of O'Reilly in a suit, and he was just he was all dressed up as Sunday Gramps.
I always
Old man.
thought, in the 20 years that he worked at Fox, his feet never touched Manhattan. He just came in from Long Island. They drive under, and then he's in an elevator. You never see Hannity around
On
town.
foot.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I think he floats in somehow on on some kind of a car or chopper or he's working all day. He's doing the radio, then he does the show, but I'm not sure that he's ever just out there buying a pretzel.
But they're in New York, but they're not kind of in New York at all. They're not
Gotta be
out
weird.
in New York. Letterman was the same way. You never see. Now Regis everywhere in town.
Out and about.
Regis has been in every
Yeah, you know where you actually literally know what neighborhood. Some people, like Regis, you're like, oh yeah, Regis, he's an Upper West Sider. You see him all the time. But
De Niro was always the Tribeca guy, and you go into restaurants and there's De Niro with them. And everybody in Little Italy has Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, and then all the Sopranos pictures.
Right.
Yeah.
All the Sopranos.
remember, you mean Chinatown?
Yeah,
don't you?
China.
You call it Little Italy. It's like a street and a half, but now it's really Chinatown.
It's a path. It's just a small path. But Nolita is the kind of a hot neighborhood.
I don't know anything.
North of Little Italy.
I've kind of become what you're saying because I moved to the burbs like 10 years ago, and I drive in most days to do the show, and I'm almost that.
How far is your commute?
It is almost an hour, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, so you're what, Westchester?
Rockland, poor man's Westchester.
Okay.
Yeah, no train really as an option.
Yeah.
And but I come in real early. But it's tough. I don't like it. I don't like a commute. I don't know how people do it.
Well, commute is not easy.
It's the only really terrible thing in my life is that commute. It just drains my soul. I like to listen to you guys. I listen on the way home, and I like to listen to the radio, and I get some good info and entertainment. But I just sitting there, just in traffic. It seems like a huge waste of time the way we move in our vessels. But you got to do it.
Yeah, there's no other way, and it used to be, I couldn't live in L.A. or New York because. But now it's anywhere. You can live in Elkton, Maryland, and be stuck in traffic. You can live in Iowa.
How come you never did the whole, like I have the home studio for days when I have to stay home for any number of reasons. How come you always thought it was, do you frown upon that?
Yeah. Because I'm from radio.
Right.
I'm not, you know what I mean? Like people here, like they don't care.
Because you're in radio, I think.
But no, this to me has never been radio. The satellite radio.
Oh, really?
Is completely different beast.
Do you miss anything?
Yeah, I really miss being part of one town. That's the best radio you could do. And it could be in a large market like New York, but it could be in a small market where you could go, who's a jerk? The mayor. Let's all call him. Let's complain.
And local references are so fun.
Yeah. And that thing of we're going out for beers tonight, come meet us, and everybody comes over to whatever.
You would do that? Ron Bennington would do that? You would meet with the people and have beers with them?
When I was doing mornings all the time, we said we're going out to breakfast, and we just take over a place and would become a madhouse.
Because I feel like you're so private now.
That's still private. I mean, I go out now, but you know what I do.
But like right now, you wouldn't say, if you're listening in and around New York, I'm going over to this diner, join me. I don't think you would do that. That's what I feel, but maybe you would.
I go out and we're doing the thing at the Hard Rock and stuff like that. I mean, I've always I think that there should be a certain, those things I would do because we would take over and we'd fucking Andy Kaufman it up and we'd shock jock it, and everybody would, but to me, that's performing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The hanging out thing, you want to hang out with your guests, right?
I love to hang out with everybody. Yeah. I just want to be liked. So whether it's the guests or listeners, I'm just bring me the attention and the approval. And I've become pretty good friends with a bunch of listeners, Sirius XM listeners, good friends. They're like people that are clearly far better than me.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they make me a better man and husband and father. I've become friends with them.
Well, when you had your affair with Jenny Hutt, I thought that was
still going.
Yeah, still going on.
Probably, if I'm being honest, I've always had stronger feelings for her husband. Have you ever seen Jenny Hutt's husband? He's one of the best looking people I've ever seen in my life. Well,
what are you saying? That she's an animal? She shouldn't be with a nice, attractive person?
I've said that many times. Quite a mismatch. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what it is. I mean, Jenny's lovely and great and funny as hell and smart, but I mean, come on.
No, I've seen her. I forget what the thing that you used to do.
Periscope,
which isn't big at all anymore, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen her get yelled at by her husband and children on there.
Yes, me too.
She is not well regarded at home. It's sad.
She would be making pancakes, and they'd be like, "Please turn Periscope off."
Or they'd just be like, "Shut up, Mom."
Yeah, she documented a lot of her home life. I'm not so much allowed to do that.
I like
my
when
wife doesn't
she
like that.
Would get up. She was in a period of depression, and she wouldn't do her hair or her makeup, and she'd just be staring.
That's
at
real.
Periscope.
I wish you would do that. I wish Ron Bennington would wake up and just broadcast right from where you wake up. I find you so attractive because I feel like you're so mysterious. I never really know the real Ron Bennington. The real, as you're saying, the real person is the person that wakes up in the morning, wherever you are, in your sanctuary, in your bedroom. What does Ron Bennington face look like?
But see, that's the thing.
Keep it that way.
Jack Nicholson never did that. Mick Jagger,
Matt Damon.
And people come out and they're performing and you're getting them at their best.
Right.
Now everybody wants you to look at their fucking dessert. Right. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit.
Let me delete a couple Instagrams real quick.
Oh, I saw your 7 selfies. Part of your 7 selfies.
Yeah, I like that project.
It's up on the iBang. Let's take a look at it.
What do you have to say about those? I love this project.
Compared to some people, you did cheat a little bit because it wasn't. You put some star pictures in there where it is supposed to be more like what's happening in your day.
Well, that was what happened in my day. That day, I chose to do a day when I would definitely have stars.
Right, there you are.
Yeah,
that's
it's just a profile.
Picture.
That's my commute to work profile of me in Midtown.
That's you in the morning?
Yep, that's me walking to work in the morning.
What time?
I get here 5:45, 6 a.m.
What time does your show start?
9.
Wow.
Beat the traffic. You have a lot of time to prepare.
Oh, love her.
Who doesn't love Pamela Adlon? That's the first time I'd met her. This woman is so appealing.
Yes.
It's so real and
She's
so
fantastic.
funny and so thoughtful. Comes in my studio, turns the lights off. I mean, just comes in and turns. I never met her. She's just taking over the studio.
She's it's too bright in here.
I love that. Love it. Love when people do that.
Yep. Come on, Chris. What are we doing?
Oh boy, look at that boy. I could go gay for him.
Now this is
Adrian Grenier.
Yeah. Now this is all one show.
Yeah.
Now, why would you have him when he's doing a documentary again?
Yeah, he's an activist and he's an environmental activist trying to teach us not to use straws anymore. Stop sucking, America.
Why can't you have a straw? What's wrong with a straw?
Plastic. Single-use plastic is destroying the planet.
I don't want to fucking do coke with a little tiny spoon again. I want a nice thick straw.
Yeah. Nobody's saying you can't do coke with a nice straw. Just reuse it from the last time. Yeah, just reuse that straw. And there might be even a little bit of residue left from the last time. That's how I feel about the weed.
So there, Chris, you're going away. But
me and Adrian Grenier.
Has he? I'm going to check with the ladies here. Has he left that beautiful boy thing?
No,
he's going into a middle.
Gorgeous.
I think it's kind of even better because I think he's maturing into
he
a
was
look.
girl pretty when he was younger.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
think
what I like.
A little too,
But by the way, this is all up on the iBang.
That's why I'm not gay. I like a guy who looks like a girl. That makes me not gay.
Yeah, I've had.
Or I also like guys. I also like, I should say, women who are like really, really athletic and kind of manly and kind of muscly and kind of like have sometimes if they're men.
Now, what? Give us an example.
Like a Lindsey Vonn.
Okay.
She's a skier. She's real athletic.
Yeah, I know she is.
Or
See,
like,
I do like when a woman has some masculinity, and that takes us back to
Adrienne Grenier.
Your first guest, Pamela Adlon, because she's got a guyish thing. Chrissy Hine had that. I always think in rock stars you want a mix of femininity,
like Caitlyn Jenner. Like I like that.
Well, Caitlyn Jenner, here's the
like you're
thing.
not sure, type of thing. I like to flirt with you. What is that?
I don't like the fact that Caitlyn Jenner still wears Bruce's medal wherever she goes. I'm like, you got to leave it behind. Yeah, you got to leave it behind.
Nobody has made that point, Ron.
Yeah.
That if you are going to transition and become a different gender, do you still get to take credit for your accomplishments before?
I think at the very least it could be like a zany comedy where it's like the trans person has to go back and win all the same medals.
Oh, that sounds like a good reality show. Do you think that she should put away the Wheaties boxes?
Here's the
Those
thing.
never existed.
She could go back probably today and beat all the girls who are at the top of their game.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing about sports.
Well, she still has.
All right, Adrienne, so this was a big day for you. This is very exciting.
Yeah, this day we did the selfies. So Soledad O'Brien.
Who killed Tupac? Who killed Biggie? Did you guys watch that the other night?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we were talking to her about. Yeah.
At the end,
Don't give it away.
Soledad has no fucking idea. And they did less work in this fucking detective work. And I'm looking at you, Ice-T. Ice-T's whole thing was, wow, yo.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That's whack.
I would love to see an edited version of just his reactions to news.
Yeah.
Somebody gives him a fact and he's just like,
He is a fascinating man, that Ice-T.
T? Yeah.
You know him?
Well, no, I don't know him as a I don't feel like if I met someone, I know them.
Oh, I take full
From that
credit
point
for
of-
friendship.
do you-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Friend of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Soledad, good friend of mine.
So
if I'm talking to like not radio people and like family that I really want to impress with my connections, and then they're like, oh, you guys are friends? I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, call them. I'm like, they're probably busy. She's probably busy.
Very attractive.
she's a beauty.
50 years old.
What did she break in with? Just news? Was there something?
She was a long time hard nosed journalist. She's done it all. I think every network, PBS, CNN, all the bigs.
Can't keep a job, huh? Sad. Well, now she's with Ice-T, and I hope they know who killed Kennedy.
They have
I hope this is just the
I think
beginning.
you got to ask O'Reilly, who was up here yesterday. He knows. He wrote a book.
Yeah. Who does he think did it?
I think that O'Reilly thinks it was Eric Bolling.
Really?
Yeah. Fox News is Eric Bolling, who's in now the same category as O'Reilly. Fired for dick pics.
Oh, that's your guy that used to work here.
Yeah, he produced the album. He used to work on my show. Then he worked in the comedy channels, and he put out his own comedy label. And I was like, the least I could do is go with you, give you whatever percentage it is, 30%.
Really excited to promote my stand-up album along with former radio producer and now You Lucky Dog Productions.
Yeah,
Aaron Hodges.
Yeah.
Now you guys put this out, and it was recorded where?
Comics 2010.
Comics 2010.
8 years old.
Now
7
this
years old.
Normally, Pete, is something a dead performer will do. They'll wait and go, hey, we just found this Carlin thing from 8 years ago. What took you so long? You just in there tweaking it like Pink Floyd, getting the production
It is
sound.
it's bizarre. It's like a weird thing, I suppose, about my personality or my ego or something. But I wasn't maybe satisfied with that tape. It wasn't even that. I loved that recording. It was one of my best performances that has ever been recorded.
It was great.
Comics is a great room. It was a great audience that night. And it was intimidating to do all the work. This is ridiculous because I had all the assets at my fingertips here at SiriusXM to do all the work to get it out. And it's not hard. And then Aaron does it and turns it around in like 2 weeks. And I literally just left money on the table for years. And now, but the cool thing is now that's all old. I have a whole new hour of material that I'll put out another album in a year. And the people who didn't know that was 8 years old will think I'm real good.
Yeah, it's like a new Louis C.K.
He works fast.
Once a year.
He's just cranking out hours. I mean, I'm not even out doing stand-up as much as I used to. It's hard to come up with material. But I saw guys putting out albums. When Todd Barry put out an album, just crowd work, I was livid. I was so mad because for years that was my bread and butter, just audience crowd work. And right now, since I'm not out performing every night, I can go anywhere and do an hour of crowd work and kill. But that was not to be respected, and it certainly wasn't going to translate on an album. But he did it, and it did well. And now I'm like, that's what I should be doing. I should have done that years ago. Yeah, but I didn't want it. I wasn't innovative enough.
First of all, you let whatever is going on around you dictate what you feel about your act. You should never fucking do that.
I'm a follower. I'm a group thinker.
Yeah.
Insecure little boy.
See, I don't crowd work. I crowdsource. I bring everybody in together.
That's what hence your success.
And people are always saying, you're crowdsourcing. And I go, yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
Always?
A lot of people know, like, you're the guy who crowdsources. And I go, yeah, I do.
That is actually, now I think of it, the talk upstairs, the offices here, like, you should be more like Ron. I'm like, I'd love to be more like Ron by what metric? And they'll be like, he's a crowdsourcer. Yeah. Now I remember conversations to that.
All right, let's see. Let's keep moving on. What is this about?
Well, I was in the subway. I want to show people that I'm a man of the people, riding public transportation. There's a guy who had a whole bunch of animals that never should be together, and he had a cat and birds and
I've
birds.
seen this guy.
Yeah, he's a real force to be reckoned with. He's got all these different animals, not indigenous to the American subway, much less North America. They live together and they don't run away. So I thought it'd be a good picture to put on there.
What are we looking at? This is 42nd Street?
I think this is 50th Street.
50th, okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's move along.
Aww.
That's the end of my night with my family after dinner, and there they are. My daughter's holding and promoting the CD so that they can get through college.
Your kids are so cute.
Thank you.
I saw them the other day, and I saw Pete, and he does not introduce me to his family.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was in the lobby. And I'm like, hey, man, where are you? And you're like, I wait until I go, I thought you were dropping by. And he's like, oh, I wait. And then, you do that awkward thing, like, I'm going to be introduced. And it never happened.
It's very weird to bring your family to work with people that you see every day or work with every day. And I was wondering if people would want to meet them or if they'd be annoyed by meeting them.
I always want to meet people.
I do too, but I'm like, I would think Ron would be like, yeah, nice to meet you.
He loves kids.
I don't know. I didn't know that. I thought he might have been, and I also worry he might have embarrassed me in front of the girls, taking a shot at me. Like, oh yeah, your dad cleans up after me. Yeah, your dad, the custodian.
Why would I just suddenly become a bad person? You know what I mean? That's just not my way.
Why to children?
What's that, Chris?
Specifically to people's children, yeah.
No, I wouldn't let... Well, you're not allowed near children, Chris.
Well, I don't like being around them.
So that's what I'm talking about. Like, if I saw... am I supposed to introduce them to Chris? Like, he doesn't want to meet my kids. He don't want to meet my kids. You have no interest in meeting my kids, and I'm not sure if I should, if it's appropriate.
No, it is always appropriate.
I'm sorry, then.
I remember one time my dad took me to work, and it was like the best day of my life. Still never understood what he did. There was these giant machines, and there was plastic running through it and all that. And then they stopped one thing, and the plastic blew up in to a giant bubble. And like 2 years later, I said to my dad, I go, well, you work on those machines that have the giant bubble coming up. He goes, giant bubble? What are you talking about? We just showed you where the air went through. You think I sit around all day making giant bubbles? And I went like this. I really did.
What did he do? What was his job?
We worked in plastics, research and development, but there was these giant extruders that plastic would run through, and it would go in as a resin and it would go through. And the whole, you couldn't even hear in this place, right? This is old school factories. And all the guys would just yell at me, stand back from the extruder. Like they were, like you could be sucked into these machines. Yeah. And there would be just guys that would lose their fingers. And
my kids didn't see any danger here at Sirius XM.
It looks like you're lazy.
But your dad would hate my anti-plastic campaign, I would imagine.
Well, he would hate your politics.
And my act.
Yeah. My father's a Fox News guy.
Yeah,
100%.
He's still with us?
Yeah, he's 90 years old.
Oh, yeah?
And I tell this to people, and it's absolutely true. He watches Fox News the way Belichick watches Game Time. It's just constant.
All day, just examining and breaking it down.
It's just all day long.
Rewinds.
Going back over it. And he's, telling me that Paul Ryan is useless. Like
How far out is it? Is he Obama wasn't born here?
No. He's actually a very thoughtful person, but he does. I think the thing that hits him is let's take it back to where it was, when in the 50s and stuff like that. And I'm always saying, but we had bombed Japan and Germany. It's not the same. We're not going to have that kind of industry.
It's interesting how people think, I think we all sometimes think that the world we grew up with was better, and how do we get back to that?
Yeah.
But the truth is, we don't get back to that, and things change. And you're never going to have, if you had a great childhood, you can't recreate that for your children. It's going to be something different. You can't give them what you had. It's going to be different, and maybe it's better, maybe it's worse. But when we look back, we often look back and think it was the way it wasn't. I mean, it was one way. For example, for men and women, women had a completely different life and lifestyle and career opportunities when.
Right.
And when you were a child and you were having a great childhood, your parents were struggling. They were living in the struggle,
you're
and
stupid.
you were.
That's why you had
most likely. Yeah.
People don't realize that there was either Vietnam when they were a child, or the hostage situation, or
my dad recently told me we used to every month we would barely make ends meet, and I would look and hope there was a check in my my top drawer, and I'd be like, I never knew that. I thought we were rich.
Well, I said this because we used to go on these fishing vacations, and it was like, I'm an adult by the time I'm telling the story, and I go, my folks hated restaurants, so we were always stopping in at these picnic places. And they're like, dude, we didn't hate restaurants. That was so we would have money to vacation. We weren't going to go paying money, so we made sandwiches at home.
Right.
My dad used to pull. We never knew where we were going to stay.
Yeah.
There was no planning on our vacations. I remember we would drive to a hotel. My dad would get out. He'd walk into the front desk, some cheap, crappy, little shitty hotel, and he'd walk out, and my brother and I knew by the expression on his face whether or not we had a place to stay.
Yeah.
And automatically you're like, we're camping.
Yeah.
We're not, there's not. And he would get down and he'd go, no vacancy. I'd be like, it says there's vacancy. And it was clearly about the price of the hotel. And we drive to the next place. That doesn't happen for my family. We definitely have plans. We know where we're staying. I'm not doing that to my kids. No offense, Dad.
And then they're going to go, it was so rigid with my dad. He had to have everything. Because you don't wait. You don't.
Exactly.
Everyone
always knew where we were going to stay. We always knew we had a place to stay. We never just flew by the seat of our pants and ended up camping in a tent.
Because literally anything can be fun if you make it fun.
You're right about that, and that's what we're saying. That when you're a child, you don't have a huge perspective.
Right.
You don't know. Although I will say this, I defy you and anybody listening to point to something that was better when we were little than it is for our kids now, because you could think of some just themes and ideas in terms of the way we socialize and spend a lot of times outdoors. Sure, but Saturday night, my daughter had her birthday party. She turned 10 this week. We went to an indoor trampoline park. Are you kidding me? We had what? We had a trampoline. It didn't have what they have now, the net around it. And most likely someone was going to crack their head open on a spring or fall through or fall off. That's what we had as far as trampolines. But I mean, everything else.
I would make the point, how old are your kids?
They are almost 10 and almost 13.
I would have died if my parents were with me at 13 years old. I think the thing that's better that we had is our parents left us alone more. And that's the thing that you cannot escape. The thing of
the helicopter parent.
Huh?
The helicopter parent.
Yeah, but also even down to sports like sandlot baseball to me is a better experience than organized baseball. You learn more, you learn to cuss, you're spitting, you're fist fighting, you're being yourself. And I think what's happened is these things where, I remember coming home, I walked to my school, I'm walking back the first day and my mom was at the end of the block. I'm going, get away from, you know what I mean? I was freaked out because I thought the kids were going to think I was a sissy.
I don't disagree with you on the parents being all over the kids these days, and I rail against that. I send my kids out in as far away as they can go alone, daughters, because I have a whole rant and riff about that. But I will challenge you on Sandlot, because I think you're right about everything you said. The only problem I have with Sandlot baseball, or how we grew up, frankly, is that that field sucked. And
So
now
what?
they have that amazing, whatever you call it, that AstroTurf. They have that. We had the carpet AstroTurf that if you're, once a year you get to play on that indoor and you'd rip all the skin. Now they have amazing facilities everywhere for every sport.
Yeah, and that's not better.
I don't know. I think that part of it is
what
better.
you have now is things, right? But you don't have the experience. My Little League was almost all dirt as far as you can see. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change. You're not a pro. Like the Giants should be going, the field sucks.
Well, what's weird is that the professional, 49ers?
Yeah.
Or Oakland? Who is it? They share the team with the field with the baseball field.
Raiders.
Yeah, they have a baseball infield as part of their, that seems weird that a pro team has that.
But that's the way the whole league was up until, you see Johnny Unitas constantly, there's a baseball infield. Yeah. But the experience, I think,
can you give me another one? I appreciate what you're saying, and that's a great pushback about the sand lot and fields.
But what you're saying is things are better, like physical things, and that's branding.
Most activities. No, yeah. I'll throw you another one. Like cops and robbers, guns.
Right.
We don't have the realistic looking toy guns anymore, so I'll concede to that point if that's something you liked when you were a kid. I know I did, but. When I was growing up, we had laser tag and what was called gotcha guns, which were like the primitive paintball gun. They both sucked. And we had BB gun wars. We'd shot each other. And I think that sucked. Paintball is amazing. It's awesome. And to be a teenage boy and go out and play paintball is way better, in my opinion, than what we had when we were younger.
I just
challenge that.
The challenge is this. Now you're going out to pay to have an experience. So we're turning the entire place into
but you can play paintball with your buddies. You get it.
But you got to go and pay and blah blah blah.
I'd say kids
taking over their own lives was a better thing and a much closer point to becoming an adult. A better chance to become an adult is having times away from the
you're
adult.
right about what you're saying. There's actually research for, which is that today's 18-year-old acts like a 15-year-old. Kids are not growing up and maturing the way they did, and there's any number of reasons, mostly phones and social media. They don't have to.
Now, you would think that technology would help us mature, right? You would have more things at your fingertips. Yeah. You'd have more experiences. Oh, is there something I'm curious about? I can read all of it. Yet, it seems to... Well, I'll tell you this from... because you know comedy. So when I have my comedy club in Florida, there's something I noticed, and I brought this up the other day, that's changed. Adults, when a comedian is talking, almost every show, at some point, the entire audience goes, "Ooh," right? They'll make that fucking "ooh." Yeah. Like, that never happened in the 80s and 90s. It never happened once. So here these fucking adults are now making noises like we used to make in third grade. Like, you could get in trouble for that. Yeah. Right. It's like when the fucking teacher would leave the room and somebody would run up and try to draw a dick on the board and everybody, whoa.
Well, you change the conversation to what things are worse today, and the political correctness, no doubt, and that type of reaction does suck. But bringing it back to and any number of things suck. But
I'm saying that
I'm talking about kids today.
No, what I'm trying to say, because you talked about maturity, is that we are now taking that, and political correctness is and I'm surprised that, since you're very liberal, because that has been hijacked now by the right. Political correctness.
Yeah, I think it's way overplayed by a lot of people. I think I will often say, listen, it's not political correctness. I think it's don't be an asshole. I performed a bunch of colleges this year. I never had a problem, and I wasn't, and I singled out all kinds of different categories and people. I just don't punch down. And so, but I'm still stereotyping and saying things. I'm being self-deprecating. But I think if you're not an asshole, there's not too much to worry about. But for example, like joking about priests and sexual molestation, like I have a joke about that. And sometimes people ooh, and I'll say, "Did you see Spotlight?" It's like every archdiocese. It's like, what are you oohing about? That's just facts. So some of it,
but no longer true, right?
Oh yeah, they cleaned up their act.
Yeah, they cleaned up their
everything. All priests are totally trustworthy.
I'm
now.
going to Chris, just
after that movie,
a plug every once in a while. You know what I mean? This is why Pete's here. He doesn't drop by for no reason.
Pete Dominick's in studio. His new album Live is available on iTunes, on Amazon.com, and Stand Up with Pete Dominick airs on SiriusXM Insight Channel 121 weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and on Twitter it's at Pete Dominick.
Yeah, please with the Twitter. That fills my cup. But so Sunday I got a call. I got an email. Billboard magazine says your album is charting. We need more information. And I emailed them back. You must have the wrong comedian.
Yeah.
So that was very cool. I never thought I'd get that email. But going back to, thank you very much for the plug. How about this one? I definitely think parents today suck. Because parents today are more worried about their kids than our parents were, and it was far more dangerous. Life in general when we were little.
That is?
Because I have some really good ideas, and there's a lot of research about this, but it's mainly that we get so inundated with news.
CNN started it. When CNN, cable news was the first time that people went. There's a
24-hour news that you can constantly hear.
There's a little girl missing in Portland, so everybody in Fort Lauderdale started.
Right. I hate these Amber Alerts because it makes people think there's kidnappings. They're almost always custody battles or something.
Yes, there was somebody else who loves them.
Yes, there was somebody who's fighting over loving them more, or using them potentially. But I mean, the one Amber Alert, I'll never forget this one, was a woman called the police because somebody stole her car and the kids were in it. Every day, have fun with this, everybody. Check on that Amber Alert the next day. And it's real interesting. This one, the lady went inside, left her kids in the car. The car rolled down the hill. She went out and the car was gone. The police came over and like, is that your car down there? And the kids were in there playing. You're fine. That was an Amber Alert. We were all paranoid. But no, I mean, my daughter, 7 years, when she was 7, she was walking the dog around her neighborhood, and a neighbor criticized my parenting. He's like, what are you doing? Letting your daughter out there? I'm like, what could happen? He's like, she could get snatched. I'm like, dude, nobody's ever been kidnapped in this community ever. And he goes, you never know. And I'm like, this guy's clearly projecting his concerns about his own kid. And all I wanted to say to that guy and every other parent is, nobody's taking your stupid kid. Nobody likes your kid. He's annoying. Someone did take him. They'd throw him right out. You're so worried about things that aren't going to happen. A kid comes over to my house and they're bored and the little girl says, what should we do? And I'm like, go out in the woods. Just go into the woods. And the girl says to me, there are clowns in there. She said that to me. I mean, I'm like, I told her there probably is, and you should kill them before they kill you. Now get out there, kiddo. But parents are more worried about their kids today, and the kids are not dying of diseases that the kids were dying of when we were little. They're not dying of injuries or anything else. Kids aren't even parents aren't vaccinating their kids today. I mean, we're going backwards in terms of worrying about our children. It's never been a safer time to be a child, and parents are more worried. This woman comes to my house. She's sitting there. Her daughter's over, and they're in the pool, and she didn't see her daughter for a minute. And she starts screaming, Ashley, Ashley, Ashley. The girl pops up. Now, my pool, I'm doing pretty well here. I'm doing well. We have a 48-inch above ground. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's very nice. Very nice. It's 48 inches. It's shorter. It's shorter than she is, the pool. Yeah. So when she pops up, I said, what were you worried about? She's like, I thought she was drowning. I'm like, listen, how could you drown in water that's lower than the height? I mean, she says she would get caught under the inflatable that your daughter was on. I'm like, then she should die. If she doesn't know how to move to the side and pop up and breathe, then she doesn't deserve to live.
When we lived in Florida, it was amazing how many kids drowned in pools. Amazing.
In pools?
Yeah.
It's very common.
It's very common.
How many of them were pools where the child was taller than the depth of the pool? How do you drown? If you're 52 inches and the pool's 48 inches, how do you drown?
Because kids panic. If they don't know how to swim.
How? Go ahead, hypothetically.
Kids panic. I mean, I'm telling you, we lived in neighborhoods.
With deep pools where you could sink to the bottom, hit your head.
It was all...
I'm not being honest about my pool. It's not even... It's barely above ground. It's inflatable. It's 9 inches wide. I mean, you're not drowning in my pool is what I'm saying. Unless you're a baby.
Yeah,
my baby did drown in my pool. I haven't mentioned that. It was a baby.
We had a friend of ours who lost a toddler in Florida. So, I mean, if I was to say anything about if you own a pool, be fucking super paranoid about it because it was constantly in the news and in the schools.
Have to learn in Florida so young. It's so important because everyone has a pool.
But here it is. Let me be more clear. At some point, we all agree an adult lets their child swim in a pool unsupervised. And I would say that point is 12 years old, good swimmers, above ground pool that's not deeper than your kid. You can walk away from that.
But I mean,
that's safe.
Kids are in neighborhoods and they go into places.
Well,
you know what I mean? They're
fault.
just walking around.
It's goddamn fault of theirs.
Yeah, you're correct about that children do it. I saw this thing the other day, is that when they have a bookstore, they always put the children's section in the back because kids take off. And it gives you the most time to catch them.
Oh, I never
before
thought
they get
about
to the
that.
front
But
door.
you're right.
Stealing
Kids
the books?
sections-
No, they're just running away from their parents
Right.
and just kids
Laundry.
take off.
Yeah. I never thought about that, but kids' sections are always in the back.
Always in the back, yeah. And I always thought, oh, they're going to make the parents walk past all the fucking readable books. Hey, Vito, you grew up in this city, right?
Yes.
Were you allowed to go out and play and stuff?
I was not allowed to take the train by myself or anything until like 8th grade.
That's still, but the kids, 8th grade is 10. He's taking the train alone when he's 10 or 11?
10?
8th grade's like 12, 13.
That's what I said.
And Chris, what about you when you lived in the...
I was 7 when I was allowed to take the train by myself into the city.
Really?
But did your parents love you?
Sure. They had their own problems. They had to worry about that shit.
Where are they now? I'd
7
love to
is a
talk to
little.
them.
They're passed away, actually.
Jeez, that's sad.
You didn't know that?
He doesn't have a living relative. Isn't
Is that
crazy?
right?
Not one.
Have you
Not
ever
one.
met a person who doesn't have a living
I was
relative?
hearing about someone that was in that situation. That's very sad.
Actually has a name, right?
Yeah, well, in a species, it's called an endling. So I kind of feel like Chris
Nice to have a
is the
label.
endling of the
Well, why don't
Stanley
you-
clan.
Well, you could make relatives. You could have kids.
You can make them.
Not really interested in
and being a parent.
children.
You
Why-
were 7 years old.
7 years old, taking that. I would take. All right, so my dad would drop me off at the subway.
Yeah.
I'd go to the subway, take it by myself, go into the city to meet my mom because she was getting off work, and then we would take the train back into the fucking.
What was the purpose of that?
Because they didn't want me by myself in the fucking house, but they put me on the subway to go. They always need a parent near me.
They trust-
Why? Because it's stash.
Probably.
But let's just zero in on one issue: kidnapping. It's not happening, and parents are worried about letting their kids go away because they're going to be kidnapped or they're going to be sexually assaulted, and it's because you hear about it in the news. And as you said earlier, it's 24-hour news, and news is always bad because that's what you report. You wouldn't report that a kid didn't drown. A kid swam and frolicked in a pool today and had fun isn't news because it's the norm, and so people generally then think that things are worse now than they've ever been, and they just factually are.
So let me ask you this: Is Trump not as bad as the other news things say?
Is he not as bad?
Is this all just like you said of the same thing of overreacting?
No, I think
overreacting.
I think he is.
You think he's a bad?
I
man?
actually think he's insane. I think he's a madman. Like I don't think he even calculates his actions, the things he says and does, because he keeps failing over and over on things that shouldn't be that hard. Like he'll be having a good week or a good speech, and then he'll just squander it. And I mean, that's just politics 101, how to keep a good thing going. And the fact that he's not able to get Republican priorities done are just evidence that he's zero experience and zero. He's crazy because he only thinks about what makes him, about him.
Right.
And he doesn't think about how a law passes. He doesn't understand how many votes it takes. He certainly doesn't understand the guy doesn't understand, without even being too pejorative, he clearly doesn't understand health insurance. He once explained it, by, talking about people can afford $12 premiums. He was acting like it's life insurance. He's been very wealthy for a very long time. He's got no connection to, look at what's happening in Puerto Rico right now.
Yeah.
He acted like, it's their fault because they didn't pay their bills. Like, so disconnected. And I'm fascinated by this NFL thing from his point of view. Like, I would imagine that most of his supporters probably like football. It's so weird to me that he's like, don't do the thing that you like to do. Why would he do that?
Because it's been working with him in his base. Because here's the thing about liking football. It doesn't mean that you like the players.
You're right.
Sometimes it's
Right.
just the opposite.
Right.
So this is a chance, and calling them rich. Or
They hate that they're rich for some reason.
Yeah.
I notice this a
They're
lot.
not that rich, by the way. The average, only the stars are rich, and
Right.
some guys might get a big salary. A lot of these guys only play in football, especially 3 to 5 years, and then and half the money they give to their family or they squander. I mean, it's kind of a presumptuous thing to say they're all super wealthy.
But when people are making $30,000, to hear somebody else is even making mid-six figures
Here's my thing about wealth.
Yeah.
I always look at a person's whole life. Like I'm definitely a bit of I'm a bit of a bigot towards people who are born into wealth and always had it, because they can't. Chris, yeah, sounds like it. But if you're like, I'm assuming that most of these black guys are taking a knee didn't grow up rich. Some of them did. Some of their dads were.
I can't think of one.
But most of them.
I can't think of one. Most of these guys that have to play, just like boxers.
So they grew up. Yeah. They literally all of a sudden, they didn't even get paid in college. They literally all of a sudden had money, and then once they get money, they tend to share it with their families, their mothers. It's not like they're rich their whole lives, like the president of the United States is.
There's a giant disconnect between the people who play football and the people who watch football. There's a different, you know, you're looking at a league that's 70% black,
right? And
the audience is always 99% white. I mean, it's a very white, and it's
vast majority for sure of NFL.
Yeah, I mean, when I
not NBA, but
NBA is still a majority white audience
because it's an income thing there in terms of who can afford to go to games.
So is football. I mean, football is an incredibly expensive thing to do. So there's always been, and you know, the audience tends to be closer to middle age. And you're looking at 22 years old, so you already even have the millennial thing. Right. Two different cultures. There's the hip hop culture of the team. So just because you like the sport doesn't mean that you like the players.
Right.
Now, the other part of it that's really funny to me, as far as standing for the anthem, you ever watch a game in a bar?
Yeah.
Does everybody stand up?
No,
when
they
continue
played? To be drunk and do shots, and they pay no attention. Nor do they do in the privacy of their own home when the anthem's playing. They pause it. Who's watching the anthem?
Right.
It's patriotic pornography that's manufactured nationalism. But by the way, the Pentagon pays the NFL. John McCain did a whole oversight thing on this. He hates it. He's a veteran. This is in 2015. That's not patriotism. It's ridiculous. Only less than 1% of America's families serve in the military, even has somebody serve in the military. It's not about that either. I mean, it's any number of issues that we can talk about that make you patriotic, that make you love your country. And this idea that it's all about the military is silly. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, we talk to this guy on my show all the time named Andrew Bazovich. He's a combat vet of Vietnam War. He taught at West Point. His son died in Iraq. He wrote a whole book about how the military recruits people at sports games to send them off to wars that they shouldn't be fighting. I mean, that's what offends me the most, is a guy who supports the veterans community, the way they're exploited and the way that we're supposed to stand for the anthem. That shows some kind of support. Screw you.
Right. Well, that was also something that we were taught as little kids. They gave us Jesus and the flag and this all at the same time. Yeah. And that stuff is ingrained. It's just
absolutely
so far deep, cellular deep. But I saw this was kind of funny on ESPN today. They had whatever the book was for flag etiquette that I guess was, came from the 30s. Kneeling is not part of the book. Kneeling is something that, think of any time in kneeling, you honor. It's a night kneeling, you genuflect in church. But what is wrong is unveiling the giant flag, because the flag is not supposed to be flat.
The flag is never supposed to be horizontal. That's against the code. So when they unfurl the flag across the field like that, that's against the code. The other thing, though, is Colin Kaepernick, the first two times he protested, he just sat down. Nobody noticed. He didn't stand. But then his teammate, he's got a great op-ed in the New York Times today named Eric Reed. He said, when I decided to join, we decided to take a knee because we thought that would be more respectful, because as you say, usually when you're taking a knee, you're honoring something and so on. But just a quick plug, if you could, Pepper. I'm sorry.
It's gotten so bad with you.
It really.
He's a big album. He's a recording artist now.
I mean, I got to go pick up my mother-in-law. Yeah. I'm not just here. I got to go to the airport.
He doesn't have family.
I can't understand that. New album Live is available on iTunes and on Amazon.com. Stand Up with Pete Dominick airs on Sirius XM Insight Channel 121 weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Twitter at Pete Dominick.
I keep forgetting how hard it is for him to relate to having a family.
It's just nothing. All right, I'm going to talk to you later, Pete. Thanks for stopping by here today.
Pete.
Thank you so much.
Let's get to the bottom of this Joe Mataritz problem.
I don't know what the deal is, but Joe Mataritz is being, I don't know what's going on. He's so self-destructive, but he's such a great comic. Yeah. And I don't know what he did, but we'll figure it out.
Something on their show?
He went on... He and I opened for Artie for years. Mm-hmm. And whatever misgivings we had about Artie, whatever criticism we had of him, I've always pretty much kept him private. I guess he made him public to Artie's face, apparently.
I've never heard a bad thing other than Artie's self-destructive.
Yeah, I wouldn't criticize the things that bothered me about Artie and my friendship with him. I wouldn't share publicly until I shared them with him. I wouldn't do that.
All right.
But paid me a lot of money for a very small amount of time on stage. What am I going to do?
Well,
you know,
it's a beautiful thing.
Some people he'd give us like $1,500 for 7 minutes to open, and other guys that would open for Artie would send him receipts for like parking. In addition to that, I think the $1,500 is covering it all. I did 7 minutes, dude. Then I came off stage, held you up so you didn't pass out over heroin, and you went out and did your thing. But I mean, I'm pretty sure the $1,500's covering the tolls. But that's how comics. I don't have to tell you, they're horrible people. Which is why I got away from it a little bit in terms of the hangout of comedians. It was too negative.
Well, now you got the new album, and thanks again for stopping by. Pete, it's always great to see you.
Chris, thank you guys so much. Big fans. Appreciate it.
Pete Dominick's been in the studio. Pete's new album live. It's available on iTunes, on Amazon.com. Stand Up with Pete Dominick's on Insight, channel 121, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and on Twitter at Pete Dominick.
We'll be right back. Bennington.
Raw Dog Comedy, Sirius XM 99.
Don't you wish you could watch your favorite primetime TV shows without commercial interruptions? Dish has got you covered. Now with AutoHop from Dish, you can watch shows recorded with primetime, anytime, commercial free.
Watch the most popular shows on your favorite networks without wasting time sitting through commercials. The season finale of your favorite show just got better with AutoHop from Dish. No more waiting through long TV commercial breaks. Just get back to enjoying the action because only Dish is tuned into you.
To learn more, call 1-844-CALL-DISH, go to dish.com, or visit a local retailer near you. Requires credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-autopay. Taxes and surcharges not included. Other restrictions apply. For full details, 1-844-CALL-DISH. Dish, tuned into you.
Bennington Show. Ron Bennington, Gail Bennington, Stanley, Jen Bennington, Rita Bennington. This is always cool. There's a town hall going on. David Frick from Rolling Stone interviewing the great Steve Winwood. By the way, Steve Winwood's probably been a star since he was 14 years old in like 1964 when he was with the Spencer Davis group. I mean, you still hear like, so glad we made it and give me some love. And to this day, you'll be driving down the road, turn on the radio. But he went from Spencer Davis group, which was a hit, English invasion band, to Blind Faith, to Traffic, maybe the greatest fucking, into his own popular
like
solo.
Blue-eyed soul kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Always great soul. At 14, had a great soul voice. Just amazing soul voice. But I've always admired the kind of careers that you do different things. You're just not, like, I think it'd be great to be in the Rolling Stones for, 50 years. But I think it's even better that you played in a lot of different bands. It's always just seems cool to me.
Yeah, I think those are always the best careers, is when you get to sit back and be like, I had this experience, this experience. I worked with this many cool people.
Right.
Especially in music. I think like that's got to be the biggest mark to go, I got to work with my favorite people of all time.
And by the way, Frick even opens with his, and he goes, and this is not even getting into your session work, because he played on all kinds of other people's things. So yeah, to me, that's like the fucking cool career. Of course, now you just like to have one band because it's so difficult. I was talking to our boss, Jack, yesterday. We were out at lunch, and we got into this. Will there be like another Radiohead? Will there be that band that you hear and you're like, oh, I kind of think that they're, and then they just keep progressively getting better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I maybe it's just too, everyone always says, oh, if you keep searching, you will find great music, but it's a very difficult thing to set off on.
It's even much different than when I was a teenager in early college age, because there was that kind of resurgence of the rock band and that New York scene that kind of popped up in like the late 90s, early aughts. But there really hasn't been another one of those since then. Like that was kind of the last time I could think where you don't just say, "Oh, I just heard this band. This is a good album," but you're like, "Damn, this is a whole thing." Like I'm starting to notice that groups are coming out of this moment or out of this place.
But one of the reasons is no one is cut off anymore. You know what I mean? Like the Lower East Side, people did not know what they were doing in the Lower East Side of New York and the Upper West Side. You know what I mean? Let alone in Iowa and everything. But now, one of the things that people are going, oh, it's so great. You can record at your house. You can put out things and people can find you. Yes and no. You know what I mean? Like, yes.
It's great for YouTube stars, but maybe not for, you know, a music scene.
Yeah, YouTube stars are not necessary. And I don't even know if it's great for YouTube stars. Would you rather be a YouTube star or had like the kind of career that Chevy Chase had? You know what I mean? Chevy Chase was doing stuff on stage for years before he got any TV, movie, and radio. They actually even did radio comedy, which no one does, not even here. It's serious.
Yeah, that is strange that isn't. I mean, they have every other kind of.
It's really hard to do radio sketch stuff to paint that picture. There's probably only 3 people in the country today that can do it, and I'm 2 of them. You see what I did there, Chris?
I saw it, yeah.
And then you went, wow, as a way of like, I'm playing with you, you know?
Yeah.
I'm backing you up. Yes, and. You should have said, wow.
Yes, and.
Yes, and. But anyway, just looking at, well, look, here's the interesting thing. You got Steve Winwood. I don't think you're going to have careers like that anymore because it's just not set up that way. But he's being interviewed by David Frick from Rolling Stone, and there's not going to be that kind of career anymore.
Yeah, definitely
There's not magazine writers, even with all the blogging that went on. People do not read a blog the way people used to read a magazine article.
Yeah, it's just not the same. And it did seem like that was going to be a thing. And I don't know if that became because everyone got their own blog and everyone got their own social media and everyone got their own YouTube channel. But at first it did seem like, oh, there's like people used to be like, I've been reading this blog or something. And people would tell you, I don't hear that anymore. I mean, maybe somebody's like, someone shared something that got shared and blah, blah, blah. But I don't really hear people saying the people that they follow. Maybe that's because that's out of our age group.
Blogs became podcasting.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Like, oh, I could just as easily say it as write it down.
Right.
But that, and you know, we had talked about, well, this is the thing when Pete was saying, name anything that's better. Things always get better. You know what I mean? Things. If you could look back at the 80s, what a rich person owned, most of that you wouldn't even want now. You know what I mean?
Just like a giant tube TV?
Yeah. I'd much rather have furniture and things that belonged to somebody in the 1930s. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd rather have a desk from the 1930s than I would rather have a desk from the 1980s. But the... things get better, but a lot of those things don't necessarily add to a lasting experience in life. You know, we brought up camping or staying in a hotel, right? It's very rare that people remember their traveling hotel rooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, believe me, I choose comfort first. But the experience does not stay with you like sleeping in a tent. It just doesn't.
Well, all those childhood things, like anytime something went wrong on a family vacation and then that turned into just being funny or silly and then this happened and then it rained and all that stuff, you remember way more than like, we had a very pleasant trip. The weather was great. We came home and we were well rested. It's usually that stuff that...
Remember when we were driving out west and your Aunt Edna died and we tied her to the roof? And then I had to steal cash and got us to Wallywart. And then the park was closed.
Yeah.
I remember this fat fuck says, he said to me, park's closed. The moose out front should have told him. I had this like little BB gun.
I didn't even know he had a gun. Me and the rest of the family were shocked.
Well, remember how new it was? I still had the tag hanging off of it. I just got that. I don't want to tell you guys.
But the thing was really nice is we still did get to ride a roller coaster.
We went on the roller coaster, and even the fat guard came with us.
Uh-huh.
That's nice.
Yeah, and he was telling her brother Rusty, Put your hands down. Don't do that. And then when we got down, the cops were waiting for us. But anyway, that's what we're talking about, folks. I hope it makes sense. I hope it was linear enough for you. Poor Chris has never even been on a vacation.
Never?
No family vacations for the Stanleys.
Didn't they used to send kids like you upstate for a couple weeks?
I think so, but I don't think they trusted other people to be with me.
By the way, Odell Beckham Jr., remember I said how crazy he was? He said that the reason that he dog peed was aimed at Trump for saying that that the players are sons of bitches.
Okay,
that made him a dog.
That's kind of a stretch, because what I got out of that was he was peeing on the Eagles. Like he had just scored, and so I thought that was a pee on the Eagles. Now, that's also a very weird dog move that he did. Like, he didn't do on all fours. Like, it was a weird creep. But I guess that's kind of a stretch.
I think he doesn't know why he did it. I think he was just fucking around.
He is fucking nuts.
Like, he's just a weird young dude.
Yeah, you're right. There was nothing doggish about until he put his leg up. Yeah.
I didn't even know. I mean, I didn't know he was doing a dog until he lifted the leg.
I will agree with you there.
Nobody says, look at me, I'm a dog, and just does a low creep.
By the way, that is no more offensive to me than anyone who acts like they're dialing the football and talking on it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel the same way about the dances as that people feel about the flag stuff. You know what I mean?
You hate the dances.
I just think you're slowing the game down. And this was off, I think, was this the 2-yard catch?
Yes.
I mean, this is not a big deal.
That's just the worst when it's nothing to celebrate. Right. Or even just like a sack in a game that doesn't matter. They'll do the sack dance and they'll be freaked out and like, this is awesome. But it isn't, because you're fucking losing and you're a bad team.
Chris, your hair is different again today. You're doing like a mini Elvis today.
It was different. He was James Dean fucking 10 minutes. When I looked over, he had like, it was coming down, but now it's even backed up more.
That is strange. I mean, I've never seen your hair.
You're losing weight, too.
Oh, thank you.
Your little face is thinning out.
I think it was because of the bad food I ate. That definitely helped.
I don't want to talk about your leaking asshole every show.
Every show you have to.
Yeah, I want to have the opportunity to think of you as someone who's not shitting.
Thank you.
Jen, do you feel the same way? I see you cringing.
No, it's pretty disgusting. Every time he says something, it's like, ooh.
Does anyone else in your life talk to you that way or around you that way? No, I don't have it.
No, he's the only person.
I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable.
You say that every day. You say you don't want to make us feel uncomfortable. And you're doing it constantly. All right, air travel, no one likes it, right? No. Everyone hates it. This is up on the iBang right now. They said air travel is safer, better, and cheaper now than any time in history. And yet, people say that they hate it, and they say the reason why people say that is it's a society thing to say.
You think most people probably are fine with it? It's a light annoyance, and then they go, I hate flying.
Well, I mean, it depends on what you're comparing it to. Comparing to a 5-day drive. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the fact that they're saying like, oh, I hate to go from New York to LA. It's just such a hassle. And I say it too. It's a fucking pain in the ass. But I would be probably at Pittsburgh by the time I'm landing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I hate to fly and choose to fly all the time because it is faster. All the time, I choose flight over, and I really dislike the experience, but I'd much prefer it to having to drive 2 days to the place that I wanted to go.
Yeah. Well, and one of the main reasons of that is the driving has gotten boring too, because you're just seeing the same things everywhere that you go. Anytime that you're in between two cities, you see those same hotels, those same food places.
Look, it's another Fridays.
Yeah. Like normally, the only time that you do eat fast food is if you have to take some crazy drive, and then you're like, oh, thank God, an Olive Garden. You know what I mean?
I know what this is.
I know what this is, and it tastes bad. Chris, do you hate to fly?
I don't like it. I don't like going through security. I don't like dealing with airplanes.
But I've flown with you now many times,
You sleep.
and you're much more comfortable than I am. You seem to. I mean, yes, you're a bit combative to security.
I will say this: I would never fly next to Chris because there's not going to be any conversation at all. Now, I don't necessarily want to have conversation, but I like for that to be an option.
This is the situation, how we have set up flight with the Bennington show, is that Chris and Jen, the two sleepies, get to go next to each other, and me and Vito for some light chit chat, maybe a game, a little something to get my mind off it. He keeps me busy. He keeps the conversation going.
Yeah.
And then we look over and the two of them are cuddled up.
Vito has a great social game.
He does.
He has a great social game. And somebody told me with Chris and Jen, somebody said to me, something's happening under that blanket.
Oh, my God.
Nothing was happening. I mean, we just shared an erotic novel together, but there wasn't any touching.
You guys were reading an erotic novel out loud
Yes.
to each other? I do want to be next to you now.
But yeah, I mean, Vito even had to say to Chris, now I see that the seats are mixed up. You will be changing. And Chris is like, what's the problem with flying next to me? And Vito's like, Gail is more comfortable flying next to me. It was a very funny
Good,
argument.
Vito. I like when you
it was a very funny argument to hear the two of them. What's the problem with me? What? I'm good at flying.
They normally get along so well, Vito and Chris.
Not at all.
Vito's
No,
just
I
like,
made a mistake there,
Yeah,
Chris?
a big mistake. Because I thought, hey, I should be sitting next to Gail. Why are you so more goddamn popular?
Because you go to sleep. That's
Yes,
all. You read
and
an
Vito
erotic
says-
number and do something under the covers and then go to sleep.
and Vito's like yelling at him in the airport. She needs to be able to squeeze my hand during takeoff, and then we play games during the flight.
That's nice, Vito.
I know Chris would never be that person. I know if Gail needed to squeeze somebody's arm, Chris would immediately start freaking out and be like, what the fuck? I was asleep. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's a good impression of him. He's got you down.
No, that just happened once.
The People's Court is going to go to the plaintiff, Vito.
Bullshit, because I need a rebuttal. That happened once because a flight attendant thought I was Vito and woke me up during a very bad Southwest flight.
Why did he think you were?
Because we look alike, I guess.
So,
Some people may think that.
I ordered ginger ale during a flight, and I noticed at the end of the flight I never got my ginger ale, and I kept turning to Gail like, man, when am I going to get this drink? So we get off the flight, and I say to Chris, did you order any ginger ale? Because I didn't get any. And Chris immediately started yelling at me, saying, did you fucking order me a ginger ale? Did you fucking order me a ginger ale? Because they woke me up to hand me a ginger ale.
Why would he order you a ginger ale?
I thought it was-
By the way, I don't think I can do that on a flight. I don't think I can say, that guy 3 rows down, bring him a ginger ale. She would like, look, I'm going to walk
Do you know
by him.
this man?
I'll see if he wants it. I
thought
don't need you to do it.
thought he was
It's
fucking
not
with
his
me.
time right now. I'll do him when I do row 18.
And he was really pissed. He was like, ha ha, very funny. And then that got us laughing, and we couldn't explain to him. It was a mistaken identity, as usual.
By the way, let me tell you this ordering thing. So I'm out for lunch with Jack yesterday. I know Jack is a very off-menu guy. You know what I mean? He changed 4 or 5 things.
Okay.
I ordered the basics. They didn't get one thing right on my order, and all his shit was right.
What?
Yeah.
See,
So-
that some people do have that problem, is like you have one person who has very specific dietary needs, and now everybody's screwed up because that person is then trying to figure out, like, then you end up with no tomato, the other person gets your extra pickle.
Yeah.
And you're like, everyone take off the things that they need to take off, put on the things you want to put on.
This is why people go to cafeterias.
I'll just get my own slop, thank you. I don't have to deal with you.
A hot bar?
Well, I was thinking, like, it's always funny to me, and I literally was thinking this way was order, because if you're out with Jeremy Coleman, he, like, orders, like, a fish with things on the side, and I'm always like, man, you're small. Why are you ordering that way? You know what I mean? I'm out with Chris and Vito, and we... like, oh, that's why you're small.
Right.
If I can came to me later. I'm like, why is this guy doing it to himself? He's in
clearly
perfect shape.
Yeah, have the bacon on the burger. Who cares?
It works every time.
Just have ice cream put on your fucking sandwich.
I want it all at once.
All right, this is Bill Nye the Science Guy. It just won't go away. It stayed up on the fucking iBank for a week now.
I love this so much. These are girls who were Snapchatting. They're like at a hotel and they're all in their bathing suits.
Yeah.
And so they're doing like a Snapchat where they're all trying to be really sexy. And the elevator doors open and the Science Guy walks on.
Now, did they catch it in the mirror? Oh, so they're shooting in the mirror.
No. Oh my god. Wow.
His little awkward hand goes up like, hello, ladies.
Here's the thing about Bill Nye the Science Guy. First of all, he's more famous than you would even think. And I remember when he'll come here and people are like, hey, Bill Nye's here.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it because he was a child star?
Yeah. I probably would feel very excited to meet Bill Nye for that very reason. It's like someone you love when you're a little kid.
Dude, when I saw Bill Nye, I said like this, I love the Talking Heads. Is there any chance that you'll get back together with them? He looks just like David Byrne at this age.
He does. 100%.
I can't seem to face up to the fact. Hey, did you guys see Bobby Moynihan's new show last night? Me, myself, and I.
I recorded it, so I have not watched it
I
yet.
don't want to ruin it for you, but it's a lot going on there. And I'm going to... each segment is, you can see it's like a nice, professional, fun sitcom. But to have 3 storylines going on all the time, I'm wondering if people are going to be able to keep up. And I was with a friend of mine talking today and about it. Because I'm like, I like Bobby, but he's got 1/3 of the show now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You would like to see a whole show with Bobby.
I would think that's how you get into a show. You have to remember, Seinfeld, everyone looks back at Seinfeld like it was the biggest hit of all time. For 3 years, it was going to get canceled. 3 years, nobody was liking it. And the 4th year, it took off. Literally, when they were worried they had the worst storyline ever, the Jerry gets his own pilot storyline. You know what I mean? Like, when they were doing it, they're like, dude, why are you... Because it seems like a last season thing to do.
Right.
But they were kind of figuring, we don't know when this thing's going to be over. Maybe 4 years.
Right.
Maybe
I didn't
5.
realize that's why they did that.
Well, I don't think Larry David gives a fuck one way or the other.
Right.
Because they said Larry never paid any attention to the numbers. The other producers did. They said Jerry would take a look at numbers because he's a reasonable man. And Larry David didn't seem to give a fuck one way or another.
Right.
George was screaming, we're not going to have enough food to eat.
What did Kramer do?
Giddy up. I forget who I was watching something. What's that MSG show where they interview people? They interview stars and it's, baseball comes up.
I'm not sure.
Center stage, I guess, right?
Okay, yeah.
Maybe it's not the MSG. Maybe it's local. You guys don't know this because they get a lot of old Yankees on there. I thought you guys would love it.
It's Center Stage, yeah, on Yes Network.
Yeah, I know, but why do you just yell it back at me after you read it? I asked you, as a Yankees fan, do you know this show?
Don't have cable. I haven't had it in years. Don't have the Yes Network. Don't have access to it.
You don't have a computer and you don't have a fucking TV.
It's hard to watch things that are on a schedule on a computer because it's easier when you have a TV because you have the TV Guide channel.
But you just told us that you don't get TV. And I know you don't have a computer at your house. You don't even have a laptop.
No, I have a computer. I don't have a TV.
Okay, but you told me before that your computer burned out and you didn't replace it. You were just using your phone.
No. Sometimes I use my phone if I'm laying down. But then other times I have the laptop.
But you don't watch TV at all?
No, I don't like NBC, CBS. I don't watch it. I watch it on apps. Like I was watching Monday Night Football last night on my phone.
Oh, that seems like a terrible way to watch a game.
Do what I gotta do.
I gotta watch fucking some things on a computer. Like I had to watch like 7 Vice Principals. I'm now watching it week to week. And I'm laughing harder, even though I'd seen it before, because I can't get the same comedic value out of a fucking little screen like that.
Right.
And when it's on my big screen, I'd be like, this is fucking great. I also think binging keeps you from laughing as hard as once a week viewing does.
I agree. I think a binge is better for a drama or a suspense, but I think that giving yourself some time, even if you're just doing like one a night or like one every couple days, is a better way to do comedy.
But I would binge anything if I had the opportunity.
Right.
I would binge. I would be binging The Deuce right now. Which, by the way, is The Deuce means Second Avenue? I can't understand.
I'm not sure what
where
they
the
mean
title comes from. Have you seen episode 3? Or are you waiting for your phone to
I think it just means Times Square.
Oh, 42?
Yeah, I think that back then they called Times Square the Deuce.
I never heard that before.
I never heard it either, but according to Wikipedia, it's true.
Did you watch episode 3?
Yeah, I'm caught up.
You get more and more into it?
Yeah.
So am I.
Because I like how every episode, like one person only gets like 2 minutes of the episode, and then the next episode, they're a major part of it. So you're kind of like thirsty for that person's storyline.
Oh.
It's off-putting.
Yeah. Especially about a porn. You're thirsty
so
for
thirsty.
I forget, all right, you brought up a suspense, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask this. What's the difference between a suspense, a thriller, and horror? Is all horror a thriller? Because when I go into this fucking thing to see, when they let you look around, they'll go, pick a category.
Right. They have those all 3 different?
Yeah, but sometimes I'm like, that's not a thriller, that's horror. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or they put the thrillers in a horror. And I don't think it goes that way. I think a horror, you have to have a supernatural element to it.
I think that a horror has to have supernatural, or I would also say a slasher I would put is a horror because it doesn't really have the same kind of storyline as, let's say, you're watching a story about a cop who's trying to get
Basic Instinct.
Yeah,
is
a murderer.
Thriller.
Right.
Yeah. And that's scary, and people do get stabbed. But not we all went camping this weekend and we got stabbed. All right, Chris, let me ask you. Do you take a slasher film? Is that a thriller or a horror?
I take a slasher film. I've always put it as a horror film. Like the first Jason.
There isn't. Well, the Jason you can't even go because he became horror.
He became total horror.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with that one. But just, let's say, Saw, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying this even though I've never seen him before. I think that's a thriller from my definition, but you would still put it as a horror.
I would put it as a horror.
What am I doing here? Why am I talking to you and Chris? Vito went to film school.
Oh, yeah, that's
I got
true.
a fucking expert in this.
I still know
Vito, suspense, thriller, horror. Define them.
Horror, I think, is, like you said, there's a killer. I also think it could rely heavily on blood and gore and not have a lot of suspense. It could just be like you knew what was coming, but there's a whole lot of blood and gore, when a suspense and a thriller can't do that. I think a thriller can be more of a mystery movie of like, what's going on, like a Shutter Island type thing where you're trying to find out. With scary moments. And then a suspense is could be a psychological type thing where you don't know who.
I put Shutter Island in that though.
All right, I'm going to give you a movie and you tell me what category you put
I like
in.
this. All right, do we get chalkboards that we can write it down?
Please.
Yeah. Please. Always want to write on a chalkboard.
Come on.
Yes.
Like our own single chalkboards would be great.
Okay, the movie 7. Would you call this suspense, thriller, horror?
This is a hard one. I have mine.
Because that's one that walks the line.
It does. It does, but it does not walk the line that Vito's actually right. Where'd you get the chalkboard?
Is that a whiteboard or a chalkboard?
You know, that's unbelievable that
I
you
don't
just
like
have your own
whiteboards.
personal
They suck.
chalkboard from home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Share with everyone else.
I bet a kid doesn't even know what a chalkboard is now, right?
Are they not? They're not in school
You know,
anymore?
my favorite. No, they put whiteboards in there.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing would be if somebody had a small chalkboard for their home. You're fucking living a dream here.
I have a chalkboard in my kitchen. and I put like things that I need to get, like milk.
Why don't you put
paper
today's
towels.
special on it too? Like,
That's true.
So when Jack gets home, he's like, "Oh, let's see. Oh, I don't know. We're going. That's great. Yeah, I'm going to have that. I'm going to have today's special.
You had no other choice,
dude. That's a great idea. All right, Vito. The movie Seven. Remember, there is no V in Seven. It's a 7.
It's just a 7.
Yeah.
I went thriller because I think that it has that mystery detective element where I think a detective or mystery type thing falls into thriller.
But why isn't that suspense?
I think a suspense movie is more about like kind of there's some jump cut type things and there's moments like that.
That's crazy talk. Chris, where do you put it?
It's a suspense film. It's definitely not horror.
Yeah.
It's a suspenseful. It's very suspenseful. You don't know who this killer is, and he's chasing the entire film.
You can't use the word suspenseful to defend your point.
Suspenseful.
He is.
Look,
he is
Vito's
right.
got you, and I wouldn't even pick up on it.
Show, if we were doing Pyramid, you would have got use the root word.
I didn't say this movie's really thrilling, so it's a thriller.
This guy didn't even like film school. He hated it.
That has nothing to do with
no
his
personal attacks in this, Chris. You're grabbing at straws.
Maybe he hated it, but his ideas are good. See, I lean to suspense with that because suspense to me is always like a Hitchcock type film, right?
Yeah.
But today, I don't know if a lot of people even use suspense. It would be in the thriller part of it. And even though this is another thing that fucks with you, right? Even though it's not a horror because there's no supernatural, the villain in that is going far further than what a human being would be able to accomplish.
Right.
No human being would pull off the fucking 7 deadly sins and knowing that the guy would open the box and then kill them.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's the devil himself.
Yeah.
Like the devil has come out of the ground.
Like he is so evil. He's from the front. Devil.
Let's go to you, Gail. What do you think? You get to judge
Now,
this.
I'm going to be honest, I heard everyone's, Chris didn't really help, but I'll just say what you said and Vito. And I would say that I would go with thriller because I feel... Chris, do you have that ready for... You know we were going to play this game show, suspense, thriller, horror.
And then have the suspense and horror game. Why do you pick thriller? Why is it
Because I think that because it does walk the line of almost being similar to a horror film, I almost find thriller to be in between. Like a suspense, I think can be just like a detective story that has exciting moments and you're trying to figure out. But because there is truly shocking material that is meant to scare you and stay with you, that almost feels like a horror, I would put it in the category of thriller.
Now, how come, like the detective thing, you normally put as a thriller, correct? A detective movie.
Yeah.
Then why? Answer me this, everyone. Is Detective John McClane never in thrillers? He's always in action films, which seems like it's a step down. Like the thriller people are like, look, the action people are eating over there like idiots. You see what I'm saying?
It is a lower brow version because I think normally you have a more emphasis on the action scenes than you do thinking about smart characters
trying to solve the clues.
Or trying to put clues together.
You know who Hans Gruber is in the movie. You know he's behind everything. It's not really about finding out what he's like, who he is and why he's doing it. He says in the beginning of the movie, like, why he's doing all this stuff.
I don't know if I'm going to agree with that because here's John. He has a good point. John, what's up? Jersey.
Hey, what's going on, Bennington?
Hey, we're having
I wanted to see where you guys felt the Silence of the Lambs fall.
Silence of the Lambs. Now, this is I waited to this to rebut what Vito had to say. Silence of the Lambs. We know Buffalo Bill and what he's done. We know we know more than Jodie Foster, right?
Yeah.
Which keeps something away from being a mystery.
Yeah.
Or suspense. Because, matter of fact, really, mystery is like the fourth thing that could go in there. And yet, it's a thriller. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is a thriller, but you're right. It has more horror. Like, you feel like it has horror elements because you're not solving a crime.
And also,
You're just
Silence
like-
of the Lambs, his skills are too good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His skills are too good for a human being, okay?
Also-
Let alone a human doing.
Also, what's more unrealistic than someone named Hannibal the Cannibal?
It just worked out that
You
way.
know what I mean? Come on. What are the odds?
Maybe it's why he became a cannibal. Maybe he was teased like that. Finally, he's like, I'll get even with you kids. I'll fucking start eating people. John, PA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to see where you thought about Jacob's Ladder.
Jacob's Ladder, to me, is horror. You think you're watching a thriller.
No.
You're watching horror.
Yeah, Jacob's Ladder is pretty
scary.
Yeah, it's a scary movie. I wouldn't call
And
it.
it ends with, not something of this earth.
Yeah.
Not something that we can say, oh, that realistically happens. Scott, Chicago, chicken in the car and the car won't go. The Toddling Town, the second city with the big shoulders, the hog butcher to the world. My kind of town, Chicago is. Chicago, the city with a ton of nicknames.
Let me put down this Italian roast beef. Hang on.
I'm fucking starving. Vito, cut me off just a piece of that Italian roast beef that you keep back there. Just a piece. I'm trying to keep up with
Gail,
Jack.
I think Gail was onto something with the difference between thriller and suspense.
Okay.
Because the thriller has some of that gore or shock value to it, like Seven.
Like Al Gore.
Suspense, and it's like Al Gore. And the suspense would be much more like Usual Suspects, where there isn't that shock value, but you're always on edge.
All right, Usual Suspects, of course, does have the shocking ending. Again, what human?
It's a twist. It's a twist, but it certainly isn't like seeing, the seven deadly sins laid out in human form.
Right.
Right. So just tell me where you put Seven and where you put The Usual Suspects.
Usual Suspects, completely suspense, and thriller has to be defining Seven.
I do agree.
Yeah.
I think I agree. Although, again, I'll just say this about Usual Suspects. Again, you have a protagonist who no human can pull off what he pulls off.
Right.
True. He's thinking on a genius level while fucking, for some reason, just trying to get even with these guys. Then couldn't he just drive by and shoot him in the head?
It seemed like much easier.
Yeah, I mean, there's no... what he really wants to do is get even with these fucks.
Yeah. Over some random jobs they ripped him off on.
Then they didn't even know it was him.
Yeah.
Suspense.
Yeah. Suspenseful, that's for sure.
I think it's a suspense because it was suspense.
Yeah,
Remember, Vito pointed that out. We wouldn't have picked up on it, but Vito got you.
Yeah.
Vito's full of shit.
Vito was a film graduate, Chris, where you, on the other hand, went to 2 colleges.
I got double the education.
Or half the education. Michael, Hotel California.
Hey, what's going on, you guys?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, I just wanted to see what you guys thought of What Lies Beneath.
What Lies Beneath is a plotless, ridiculous thing. And I believe that would go into horror for me. Did you guys see it?
Yes, I have seen that movie, and I would call that a horror movie, I think. Again, paranormal,
yes,
supernatural.
It's someone coming back from the dead. I remember seeing it like a long time ago, but I felt like it's a horror movie.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, horror, there are like different types of horror. You know what I mean? Like, yes, that kind of a paranormal is different than a slasher,
monster.
Yeah, or a monster horror. Sure, but I don't think you would call that a thriller or a suspense.
All
It was very suspenseful from what I can remember.
I was suspended. I was suspending my disbelief. All right, I'm going to give you one. This is a strange one. And again, write this down on your private chalkboards.
Okay.
The movie Magnolia. By the way, somebody wrote to me not too long ago, what is that song that we did? And I had to go and look all over to find it.
Did you find it?
Yes, it's some Spanish number, and it's, of course, just a piece of it.
Yeah.
But I think I must have gotten it from a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you've always done that, but I've never really known what it is. But
Yeah.
I always knew it wasn't like that you were referring to something specific,
Yeah.
but I never knew what it was.
Yeah, I do it as the hold sound.
Right.
As the black girl peace hold. Peace hold. All right, the movie Magnolia. First, let's go to The Graduate. He's something.
I'm going to go suspense because I think it leans closer to a drama.
You know what? Let's just stop it right there. I mean, this guy, when he hands it out, there's no reason to talk to Gail and Chris.
What?
Well, what did you have, Gail?
I have it as none of what we were discussing, and I just called it a supernatural drama.
Supernatural drama, which I Chris is nodding because he's anti-veto.
Yeah.
But I say it's cheating.
I'm on board for this supernatural.
No, stop it. What did you have?
Well, I see him crossing.
You had suspense.
I hate that I agreed with you.
Okay. Now, by the way, what part is supernatural?
In which you things that don't normally happen.
But they do happen. There has been cases of frogs falling from the sky.
Right. This is
sucked
something
out
that
of it.
happens.
This is something that happens. Now, the thing that always got to me about Magnolia is it felt like the characters in the film were affecting each other before they even met each other, which is at least metaphysics.
Right.
Am I
That they're
wrong about that?
No,
They're all caught up in...
Yeah, and they're interconnected in
Right.
a way that it's kind of like they're kind of like E.T. and Elliot. Like they're doing things and experiencing each other's.
That's a great... What would you call E.T.? Where does that... Because I'm just going to put up mine. I got a little chalkboard myself. I put heartbreaking fun.
Yeah, that genre in which you just try to make children cry, I guess, is probably whatever you would call that. It's just a sick genre that exists.
It's horror. E.T.'s a monster.
It's not horror. No one thinks
E.T. was horrifying. I was freaked out by that thing.
That's because that you're a fucking weirdo. That 18 doll sold more than any doll in history.
It's creepy looking, and his creepy,
Everyone
weird
loves
flesh colored
E.T..
skin. It's nasty. He's
everyone
a nasty, ugly
loves
thing.
What?
Christopher.
And he talked like a fucking creep too. E.T. blue.
Nobody said that.
No.
That became the biggest film of all time.
Everyone
America
wanted
fell
an
in
E.T..
love. Yes. You couldn't get enough ETs for people.
I never got it. I never got that.
Movies ripped it off because it was so popular.
It's still,
Yeah.
almost every movie. And Neil Diamond and a couple of friends went out and wrote a song about it. Some people now think that song was in the movie. It wasn't. It was like they got home and they're like, man, I'm fucking Elliot was so cute. And they just fucking wrote it up in their Malibu beach house. All right. Let's get over here to Elliot. He's disagreeing with everything. Elliot.
Everyone?
Yeah, I mean...
Elliot.
Oh, that's good.
I knew you guys were going to do that. I heard you talking about it. I knew you were going to do that.
Hate it.
No, but what I was saying is I almost feel like suspense isn't really a genre. You can't... Because, every thriller is going to have suspense in it. And it's almost the suspense that makes it thrilling.
So you're saying suspense and thriller, same genre, horror. So there's only two genres that we're debating.
To me, all right, let me put it this way. To me, almost all Hitchcock is suspense.
Right.
I don't feel like it's all thriller. I think some of his things are thriller, but more likely Rear Window, that's suspense. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what's happening here?
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree, not a thriller. Suspenseful.
So would you say so the main point of watching one of those Hitchcock movies is for the suspense itself, just to
It's also
it's not
for the
really
thrills.
thrilling.
Well, the thing is, the thing that you get out of Hitchcock is what the fuck. It's not so much what happens when you're watching Saw. You're getting it to see the actual attack or whatever.
Yeah.
And
The
Psycho
gore of
falls into that category. There's no doubt. This is Psycho. The exciting thing about Psycho was the stabbing.
Right. And it was made to make you have a physical, emotional reaction to the things you were seeing.
But most of him, most of Hitchcock, and I may be wrong, I'd be up to this, admitting, but it was like, oh shit, why is she going? You know what I mean? Like, where's this going?
I think a suspense in the moment. You're going, oh my God, what's the next thing? Who's going to find out this and who's the killer and blah, blah, blah. You could have those moments, but something like a horror where you, like, later at night, you're going to be like, is that killer coming through the window? You don't feel that way with a suspense.
That's a good.
You
that's
let a suspense
that's
go.
good. I like that. You're like, oh, I saw something terrible, but you're not like something terrible could be here.
Right.
Now, for me, one of the worst moments I've ever had in the theater, and maybe this means best moments, but was Inglourious Bastards, the opening scene where the Nazis are there and you're laying under.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how fucking long is this? Like, I literally was ready to scream out, just kill them. Kill that girl. Because I can't, I'd rather see her get murdered than not know whether she was going to be murdered or not. And that was suspense, even though I guess the movie would be thriller or, you know, whatever they put war pictures under.
Right. But that is a horrible moment. It's horrible.
Terrible. And I don't know how a director can make that happen instead of what a long, dull scene.
Yeah.
Nothing really happened. Because he doesn't even fucking shoot her. You know what I mean?
No.
He lets her go. But the fact is, it may be the best fucking thing that's ever happened in the history of the planet Earth. Oh, man, I went too far. I forgot about Jesus and all of his stuff. What is it, Chris?
We have some guests stopping by.
Where are they?
They are coming up now.
Oh, buddies of mine. Dante Nero and Harry Turjanian. Dante and Harry co-host the Beige Phillips Show, presents Man School, available on iTunes and Riotcast.com. You're a member of Riotcast, right, Chris?
Oh, formerly a member of Riotcast.
Why did you walk out on them?
The David Mack Sports program ended, and I brought High Society Radio to guest digitalnetwork.com.
You know what a mistake that is, because Riotcast now has the #1 show in the country, the Chip Chipperson Show.
You fucked up.
You could have been on after Chip Chipperson.
Well, I love the Chip Chipperson Show, but I'm also happy at guestdigitalnetwork.com.
You're happy with anything because you don't have ambition.
Is it because it's suspenseful?
I don't know. Where does Dumb and Dumber fit? Two guys named Chris with the same voice. Are they here?
No, they're in the lobby right now.
Well, what do we wait? Do we need to break?
We should take a quick break.
Jesus, say it. Run the fucking producers.
We should break.
Bennington.
Welcome back to Bennington. Dante Nero and Harry Turjanian are in studio. Dante and Harry co-host the Beige Phillips Show presents Man School, available on iTunes and on riotcast.com. On Twitter, it's at Dante Nero and at Harry Turjanian.
Dante, we haven't seen you since the joke party.
The joke party. That was awesome.
Jokes, yeah.
At a ball.
Yeah. That was a very, very funny night.
Yeah, we had a good time.
And then Harry, I go back with as far as anyone I've known in New York.
That's right.
From terrestrial radio, NEW.
Old NEW days.
Intern first, producer later, and now big hit comedy star. Everybody loves him.
That's right, guys.
Everybody loves him.
I came in third in the lobby in the photo contest of celebrities with Steve Winwood and then 50 Cent. And then just a distant third, me.
And you were more excited to see Who Kid. You're like, Who Kid is in the fucking house.
I don't know if you see his Instagram. It's fantastic. Some of the things on his Instagram
What's
page.
on his Instagram?
It's just him traveling the world and then making pyramids with girls' asses.
Yeah.
Like,
all right, I got to start following him.
Yeah, it'd be right up. I think you'd really enjoy his work. Some of his.
Well, I've known him for a long time too. He's always like one of the nicest people, but he always is like, yeah, I'm going off to Rome to DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have anybody there that can DJ?
That's a weird thing.
Yeah.
That DJ thing, those guys have become like real celebrities.
Yeah.
And they do these parties, 35,000 people, 40,000 people at a time.
But it reminds me of comedy because you can be big in it without people outside the community.
Sure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Sure.
But with comedy, people are still going like this. Hey, have you heard of this guy Patton Oswalt? I go, yeah, I have.
He's come up.
Yeah, but that happens. You ever notice that? Like they think
absolutely.
it's a rising comedian. And it's somebody who's been established for years.
The best ones, they send you a clip of somebody's already dead. Like, Mitch Hedberg? Yeah, no, he's been, I think, in the ground for 10 years now, actually dead.
Funny, like, I was a male stripper for like 12 years. And I was literally up and down the East Coast shaking my moneymaker. And I literally was at a point where I was famous enough where I couldn't go to dinner without signing an autograph.
Yeah.
Like somebody would come up and they would not know. Nobody else would know who I was unless they were in that community. You know?
And you only work to men.
That
was your angle.
That's my thing. That's my.
Hey guys. Now, did you do where you did you were like a different job? Did you come in as a fireman or anything like that?
No. I actually had this. It's funny. We're close in age, so you remember Shaka Zulu?
Yeah.
Okay, remember that costume that he had, the headdress? That was me. But my
nice.
So
this is. Did you work at clubs or this was like private events? Or?
I actually ran my own. I ran my own group. I had 13 members in my group, and then I did production, and we did clubs and everything. We did a little bit of everything.
But you wouldn't go to someone's house.
Yeah,
you would.
That's where you make the money.
That's awesome. I just had my first experience with a male stripper for a friend's bachelorette, and it was like wild. It was it was like so much more intense than we all had anticipated. We were like, this will be like really funny, and immediate we're like,
whoa,
this is sex. We are literally watching our friend have sex with someone in front of us, which was like hilarious.
Yeah, because you wouldn't do all. I would only do all nude in people's houses, but I wouldn't do. You couldn't do all nude because this was right around the time when Rudy Giuliani was cleaning up the Deuce.
Right.
We were talking about the Deuce, and so there was all this Vice stuff going on where there were these rules about nudity, and he was cracking down on people and locking people up and all kinds of stuff.
Did you tell them the name of the?
My name was Prince Mandingo. That was it. The original one.
What's fascinating about these stories that he tells me, because they always end up being confirmed by people I meet who are now normal civilian people, like
Ray is a nurse.
Ray,
one of my friends
Sweet
is a
baby
nurse
Ray,
now.
who is a big fan now that I've met 17 times because he follows Dante. Because now he lives a civilian life that nobody believes he was a male stripper. But it was like professional wrestling where they all had to have a gimmick or a character. And
well, Mandingo, was it based on Ken Norton movie?
No, well, that's where I got the name from. I got the name from Ken Norton's, but this costume, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. My sister,
fucking hilarious.
Look up Prince Mandingo.
My sister, I have 3 older sisters, and we're watching the Shaka Zulu thing, and there's this scene where he reclaims the throne, and he walks down, and he basically kills his brother, and then reclaims the throne. Right. And he's just kind of strutting down with this zebra train cape, and these horsehair around it. And all of my sisters, who are very different in nature and what they like, they were like, and I was like, that's it. This is what I need to do. I need to get the.
Now, do you have any of your 8x10s from those days?
I do have a couple.
There should be some pictures up there somewhere. Where would they be on there?
I don't think there's any of my strip pictures. I mean, this was before the whole digital era.
Right. There's 1 or 2. Let me find them.
Well, why is my shoe rack up there?
Wait, where's
That's
that?
actually my shoe rack.
Oh yeah.
Wait, to your right.
Well, that's Dante's Instagram. There's a lot of nowadays. It's more shoes. So
that's just as sexy for some people.
Boss was jerking off to that thing.
Are those loafers?
Wow,
that is great.
Up there, Jesus. Yeah, it was an interesting thing. It helped me understand attraction, like because if you don't understand women and attraction, which women's attraction is much different than men's, you don't make any money. So you have to. And I remember my sisters going, and I was like, that's the thing. I want to be able to get that. And I did pretty good. With it.
Well, the other thing, too, if you try to tell young people is, like, this is how you end up having an interesting life. Not, starting your career at 21, working your way up in the corporation. You want to hear, oh, no, that's back when I used to smuggle weed down in the Keys. What? You know what I mean? Like, like, if you met anyone now who were on those fucking boats in the 70s and 80s, you're like, what a fascinating guy. He's done it all.
Well, I'm grateful that I started interning as young as I did at like 18. From like the first 10 years of my life, anything interesting happened in the radio station.
Right.
That was the first place I ever got a lap dance. The first time I ever fucked a girl was because of the show.
Right.
Which I was so stupid I didn't realize a girl was hitting on me every week at Bar 9 because we would do these after shows.
Yeah.
Just no clue until she actually dragged, like, hey, I want to fuck you. And I'm like,
okay.
6 wheel, yeah, okay. And then finally took her home and then couldn't get an erection because I hadn't done it. I did so much foreplay because I didn't know any better. All I'd learned was from watching porn. I'm like, I guess I have to go down on her for 45 minutes. And my dick was like, all right, I guess if we're not doing this, I'm calling it a day.
Funny thing in orgies, that's the same rule that you can't do too much.
We all know
this. You gotta get it in while it's up. Otherwise, you're distracted and you lose your erection.
Right. And a lot of times you'll lose your erection because there's a set of balls slapping right there.
That's true.
Like, I don't know.
It's went a lot farther than I did.
That's why I like to wear blinders whenever I'm in an orgy, some of those horse blinders, just to keep any of the sides.
Not me. I got my head on the swivel. I'm just enjoying life. Now, so you'll answer some questions. You'll take people.
Absolutely.
So, Vito, you're a youngster here. What is something you would like to overcome? Because you haven't dated a girl since you broke up with your first serious girlfriend. And how long ago was that?
That was like coming on 2 years ago.
And
2 years.
Are you over it yet or no?
I doubt it.
Okay,
you got it.
So I can start. He doesn't even have that question. The minute you getting over your relationship is 5 pussies away.
Absolutely.
That's it.
5 away.
They don't have to be great either.
They don't have to. You just got to get
to 5.
You got to get to 5. The first one, you're like, it was I don't know, because it literally is a situation where having sex with somebody else sort of prepares your mind to say, okay, this is over. Whatever before was over. Then the second one is like, it was okay. And then the third one, you're like, not too bad. Then the fourth, you're like, what was her name? Again? Right. And then the fifth one kind of puts
over it.
It's kind of a slow whiteout of your own memories. You're just kind of, you can't, it's like when you paint over things, you got to paint a couple times.
You got to prime it.
Yeah, you got to prime it.
I think that's probably pretty accurate. That sounds smart.
But
now, how many dicks away for a woman?
5. I would say 5. I would say 5.
By the way, 5 dicks comes a lot faster than 5 pussies.
Oh, yeah.
5 dicks you get in a weekend.
I mean, if you're ambitious.
You can do that from 2 to 7 on a Saturday.
Right.
Now, I had heard just from a friend of mine that they went to bed with this guy. And after they both roll over, he starts to cry and say how much he misses his ex.
Jeez.
And I'm like, that's the worst.
Yeah.
I've never heard anything that bad in my life.
That's
I'd rather the guy hung himself in my bathroom. I think it would be easier to do.
You know what happens too? I think you tend to put it all on a pedestal. You forget all the horrible stuff that went through, and you idolize the stuff that you think is good. You forget all the horrible stuff.
Which also why when you get back together with an ex, then you're like, remember why? Oh, that's why I left
you. She's horrible. I remember. So.
Can people stay together after breaking up? You think that's even possible when they take that break and then come back to each other? Because I don't know if that can work.
You mean you break up and then you try to get back together to see if it works? It's pretty rare.
It's never...
I dated someone, broke up, got back together, and we were like, "This is definitely gonna." Nope, it did not. You know what I mean?
Thought it was gonna work the second time.
Yeah, and I think there was not enough time or growth in between that.
Yeah.
It was just more forgetting the things that we weren't.
I always end up, so you didn't forgive me. That's what I would say. But you said you forgave me.
There's a lot of it. I knew you were going to bring it up. I was waiting, and I knew it.
Oh, by the way, I'll always bring up something myself.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting even about that is I've seen it happen where the guy could get the girl back. Like if the girl breaks up with the guy, it's usually because Ron, one of the things that we have in great common is you were good friends with Patrice.
Yeah.
And so
well, not great friends, but not like you. But,
right. Well, we were close, and he loved you to death. To say that, personally, because he said that to me. So, but one of the things we had started doing our podcast, the Beige Phillips Show, as an homage to the Black Phillips Show, which was on Sirius, and we did like 13 shows, and they became this kind of cult following. And we were talking about this, basically the pussification of men, and how the feminists had gone too far to pussify men, and then they're unattracted to these guys who they've basically emasculated. And so we were talking about that, and then when we started doing the Beige Phillips Show, it was the progress of escalating that dialogue. So Patrice and I were talking about all the problems that we saw, and then Beige Phillip was the answers to that. And one of the things that I find is a guy will break, like especially when a girl breaks up with a guy, she usually breaks up with the guy because she no longer sees him as a viable mate choice on an instinctual level, because so one of the premises we talk about is that a woman finds a guy attractive who will keep her safe at her most vulnerable time. And when is her most vulnerable time is when she's with child. That, whether or not she has a child is not the point. That is the criteria from where she finds
goes back to caveman instincts.
Those instinctual. So I believe that we have these instincts that are subpar, and then there's the social contract, which is fidelity, marriage, and all those things that we create on a social level. But what happens is those instincts seep through that social contract, and they contradict some of the social contracted stuff. And us not being aware of where those feelings are coming from is the thing that screws up the relationship. So when you start to, like, you get a guy who, like, women will be like, talk to me, I want you to be more emotional. But then when you are emotional, then you don't give her the feeling of being, like, you're not protected, because she feels as though you're too affected by your emotions. And so how can you protect her if you're affected by everything that goes around her?
That's the thing that the reason Dante and I got together to do the show was we were just doing some stand-up show, and I had broken up with my ex. And what happened was I just thought you could go home to your partner and be like, hey, I'm having all these troubles with stand-up, with my career, it's not going as well as I want. They would be there to support you. But the problem is, if you keep unleashing all those emotions and not being in control, you're no longer in control.
Guy. You're more sensitive than most guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of fixed that.
I'm a little, at first with the things that Dante would tell me to do, I go, hey man, that seems extreme. But after like 2 years, 3 years, then I'm just like, let's nuke the whole village. Let's take them all out.
Right.
Because just, you gotta get hardened to that. And I'm still a very sensitive guy. I'm still very sweet and nice, but within the confines of a relationship, I found that because of Dante, it works to be either strict or to have the fights, to have the arguments.
I don't even think it's strict so much as that so many guys, I think, they're trying to not have the argument.
Yeah.
Because they want their peace and quiet. And so in the context of not, but what I have a saying, and I say, a woman gives you shit to make sure you are the shit. So she gives you problems on purpose to test whether or not you're going to push back.
Like a high school football coach. She's just running you through drills.
Right. Absolutely.
Chris, you don't plug anymore? I mean, these guys have a big show. That's the thing.
Dante Nero and Harry Turjanian are in studio. Dante and Harry co-host The Beige Phillips Show presents Man School, available on iTunes and on riotcast.com, on Twitter at Dante Nero and at Harry Turjanian.
Now, Chris, you're in a new relationship. And you were like him, you broke up, it took a long time.
Yeah, because like I was like in an 8-year relationship and it fucking fell apart. And then like for like about a year, about a year, I fucking stopped drinking. And then I was just like, I'm not going to see anyone. And it was mostly because of fucking anxiety. Because the first time I went on a Tinder date, I fucking got bomb drunk. I got to drink like half a bottle of Jameson.
That's right. I forgot that. You went
Yeah.
back to drinking and dating the same night.
At the same exact night. Yeah.
Wow.
He's never been sober and had sex in his life.
And it was weird because like when I first started dating this the girl I broke up with, there wasn't any Tinder or fucking Bumble or any other app. So it was just so much anxiety. But then once I did it, it was fine.
Where did the anxiety come from?
I don't know, because I had been with another woman in like fucking 9 years. It was just and I didn't realize how badly
You were worried about dating?
Well, I find about the anxiety. One of the things I tell a guy to do, if I do consultations, one-on-one consultations and stuff like that, one of the things I tell a dude to do if he has that approach anxiety is to what I call lay to 5 bricks, meaning is talk to 5 women a day, every day for 8 weeks. So you don't have you don't have to pick her up. You just gotta say, wow, that's an awesome jacket.
Yeah.
And that's all you gotta say.
Yeah.
You drop it and you move. So it's sort of like doing open mics in comic where you get comfortable speaking. Now what happens is through the course, that's 285 women. Like, I don't know pimps that talk to that many women.
Right.
And so it becomes, you almost lose the anxiety, the approach anxiety. But then, because you lose the approach anxiety, you have a level of confidence because this is almost like work you're doing. Mm-hmm. So you're not giving off that creepy vibe to the girl that so it's, and I don't say just to talk to girls that you want to sleep with, talk to old ladies, young, just everybody.
Just be in
social.
Treat women like people a little bit.
Yeah, like people. And not.
But that's harder than you think, especially when I'm looking at you and I'm attracted to you and I want to have sex with you. All of those things are in my head, and that thirstiness comes out in everything that I do.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Yeah. But do you think he made a mistake being drunk for that? Do you think he should have sobered his way through that for his confidence?
Sure. Well, I think the problem is that he did 9 years and then jumped in. And there's such a chasm of that. If he had been socially just talking to women, because that's what I would have. If he had called me, I would have said, just I need you to drop the compliment and keep moving.
And he's bad socially treating women, right?
That's true. And that I think that because you were drank through your dates, it's probably why it took you more than 5 pussies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it did. Yeah, it did.
Because if you're drunk for 4 of those 5,
well, he went 4 pussies, 3 dicks. I think it equals 5. But Chris, do you around here, anyone in Sirius, is there a woman that you're like, oh, that's my pal that me and her tuck?
No.
Thank you.
Okay, that's very
and I work with him every day.
Yeah, you didn't even sit right in front of Gail. She works right across the console from you.
We have 2. Gail's here and Jen is here, and he does not speak with them.
Really?
At all.
What's that
Jen
about?
finds me, I think, a little weird. I think that's her problem.
Maybe because you don't speak to her. That would be very weird. If you saw a guy every day at work, he didn't say hello once.
This is a weird cursing, maybe.
But for a while, you thought that he didn't like you.
I did for a long time.
And I go, no. It's not that he doesn't like you. He doesn't acknowledge you. He doesn't see you. He doesn't see you as a person.
And that made her feel much better immediately. She's like, oh, that's great.
But even now, I thought he was like, I thought you were going to say, other than Gail, there isn't anyone else here that I work with.
I thought that was assumed.
No, you
I'm
still don't to this time.
Yeah, that's but also the anxiety comes from, really, the root of it is that you don't think you're worthy of these women who are more attractive.
Exactly.
You see them as attractive. And you don't think yeah, thank you.
You should do dual therapy together, where you just back them up like a hype man, like a Dr. Phil hype man.
Wait, what should I listen to?
That's what it is. And what you don't understand is, and I've said this to guys, and a lot of times I get a lot of flack. Anytime you're in a relationship, you're losing. And the reason why I say you're losing is because as a man, you're going to have to, if you have a girlfriend, you're going to do things you didn't want to do. Mm-hmm. You're going to go places you didn't want to go. You're going to spend money that you didn't want to spend. You're going to have to listen to goofy stories that you don't want to listen to. All of those things are part of being with this woman. Right. And you have to take that. It's your job to make her feel safe. It's not a woman's job. Like, a woman's womanhood is not attached to her ability to provide, but it is attached to our worth is our ability to provide and to keep safe.
All right, I'm going to give you one with Harry from when he was younger.
Okay.
Your running buddy was Wonder Boy, right?
Right, yeah.
And you guys would be sitting with girls. I don't know whether you remember this, but his thing was to constantly do jokes at your expense. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
He would be constantly like, doing weight jokes with Harry, and I'm like, what the
Yeah.
Harry, he's fucking using you to become the alpha male.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, that stopped one night. I forget where it was. It was probably in D.C. I forget for what boxing match, because there used to be boxing matches back then.
Yeah.
As part of the radio show. I think one night at a diner, I pulled to the side and I told him, I'm about to punch you in the face. And then it stopped after that.
Well, because that took a long time. Yeah.
Well, because that was just our guess our repartee, but I didn't realize, he's kind of making me look a little bit like an asshole. But he wasn't intending to do it, I don't think.
But he didn't do it in front of guys.
Yeah,
he only did it in front of women.
This is funny. Harry's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
And and this is what I notice about nice guys. Nice guys always have a problem not wanting to be an asshole.
Right.
And the guys who are assholes have no problem being assholes all the time. So what's interesting is that he doesn't even, like, him being an asshole is just really him being confident and standing up for himself.
Yeah.
But to him, he's always like, I don't want to come off an asshole. I go, you couldn't be an asshole if you wanted to. Whereas somebody who is a genuine asshole is always an asshole, and everybody kind of is like, oh God.
Watch out for him,
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing how we worry, as human beings, we worry about the things that we need to worry the least about is being an asshole.
Well, also, the stereotype that women go for the bad boys and women always end up going for the asshole. That is also a very short-term solution for women.
Sure.
Women don't stay with the asshole. They never stay. But maybe what is happening is men see that as enough of the win because they think on the short term, he went home with that girl.
It's a good one.
Yeah. But most women will tell you, like, I'm attracted to a bad boy, but anytime I find I'm a couple weeks or a couple months into a relationship, find out that this guy is truly an asshole, they leave them.
Right. Yeah, but you're fucking this guy for 2 or 3 weeks.
You got that?
Exactly. See, that's what I'm saying. That's because for a man, that is a victory.
The asshole is the woman's version of crazy pussy.
Exactly.
100%. Oh my God, she's a psycho. This is
hot.
so exciting.
Yeah,
and
women
then you're
have
like,
the
no,
same
I just
thing.
moved out. Like, I just moved to another town.
I left a lot of stuff behind. I just grabbed everything I could grab in my arms, and I ran out the door.
Harry, were you ever with a girl that at a certain point fucking scared you? Like, she's so...
You know what? I couldn't pick those up previously up until meeting Dante, and I have since, but I know the signs enough now to kind of either put a stop to it real quick or just get out of there real quick. So it never lasts too long, but it is longer than it should be because
Dante has changed your life.
Absolutely.
So I don't even know you anymore, right?
I'm a different guy.
The guy that I know no longer exists.
No, that kid's gone.
Yeah. And it's all from your working the things that he's telling
it changed a lot in me because that's a huge part of your life. No matter what you're doing professionally, if you don't have control of what's going on personally, it affects you. So even if your career, I know so many guys, especially in comedy, things are going great, but they have no idea what's going on in their personal life, and it fucks up their personal life. They're just not happy. And it gave me a lot of confidence. There's a lot of things I had to change. I had to start learning like my worth as a human being, to start dressing better, to take my clothes to tailors and things. Like, I just never considered getting my stuff tailored.
Chris?
What's going on, Chris?
This is from JCPenney. This is
That's fine.
nice.
Nothing wrong with that. Just
Thank you.
Just
I'm gonna hook you up. I promise. Whatever you need, I'm gonna give you my number.
No,
and I charge for this, but for you gotta open door.
Why'd you get so Italian at the end?
I don't know.
For you,
don't worry. But
I'll hook you up.
It was definitely a situation. If you look at my shoe rack,
right?
Like, I care about myself. I like nice things. I think I deserve those things. And when I'm with a woman, I know that her life is better for knowing me.
Your motorcycle custom, your truck custom, everything's custom.
Together. And I don't mean that in a sense of that, but I'm just saying, I know people, I do things, I've experienced things, and there's no way that I don't have some way to make your life better than it already is. And you know this, Ron, you've been around, and there's people, we were talking about that the other day, how you just, as an older guy, you just have so much resources that just seems magic to a younger girl, and they're just like, oh, this guy just knows.
Well, yeah, I mean, all of that stuff is no secret that women are really most attractive to confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever anybody says, oh, why do girls date older guys? Confidence. Why do girls date guys with money? It's confidence. Like, it's not really, sometimes it's literal.
It's not the money.
But it's
the
not.
money does make the guy feel better about himself.
And then he executes that.
For something that I had to learn about myself was like, I live a really dope life, like a great life. I do comedy. I do now. I get to do color commentary for wrestling, which I love doing. Like all these things I wanted to do that other people are. And you just kind of push that down for some reason as a nice guy because you think, well, I'm not supposed to brag
this
about.
This is like a movie. I'm watching a movie that took place.
Well, because it's been like 12 years, and when I left, it wasn't in the best of circumstances when I left. You know,
you left from lack of confidence. Still.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have it all together,
and you also didn't leave like a stand-up guy. You took off, and everybody was like, man, he was really good until he got the position, and then he felt the pressure around him from the show and from the outside shows. And
there's a lot
everybody
of that stuff.
liked you. Everybody liked you.
Yeah, everyone liked me. It's just on air. There's a lot of things that, I don't know. There's a lot going on in that moment. And also the show was a lot, I think, different than, I listened to you guys.
Well, we were still shock jockey.
Yeah.
But
you show up one day and the next thing you know, you're in a boxing match with somebody. You're like,
just win. Win this match. That's what you got to do.
You're like, how did this happen?
I don't even remember the boxing.
I wasn't in. I managed to avoid being in one.
Yeah.
But every day that was one of the weird fears because it was never planned out. Nobody was. No. You guys didn't go, hey, we're going to have a boxing match. We don't know who's in it. You'd slip up and say something to somebody else, or you'd insult Scott Muni.
Let's take this to the ring.
And then, and all the next thing you know, a month later, you're at the Hard Rock in silk shorts with a boxing glove, punching your producer in the face.
Look at you, now you're doing color commentary.
Yeah, I'm happy for Capital Wrestling, which I'll throw a plug in there. It's a company I helped start too. But I'm like all the
Where
things.
Where are these matches at?
In Hoboken, New Jersey. In New Jersey, we're doing shows, and we're doing one October 16th.
He's good at it too. Like I've watched, and he's really good at it. Because the comedic level is something that is an element that he has that other people don't have. And
to do that, and you were on the PA in the club, right?
We don't do the color. We do it for a show we do every week on. We air it on Facebook and Eric Bischoff's network, IWN, and but also there. I mean, sometimes I do a little bit of the crowd work just to get. Right. We do tapings. We actually do kind of differently than everyone else does it. It's an independent show that we do. But yeah, I'll get up in front of the crowd and do the crowd work and to get everybody hyped up and stuff. But even just doing stand-up, I have no fear about it. And it's very odd because I know a lot of stand-ups and a lot of them are messed up emotionally and mentally. And it's very odd because you're able to conquer this thing that's the number one fear that everyone has is public speaking. Yeah. And to us, it's nothing. But then trying to get your personal shit together for some reason becomes a problem, or talking to girls becomes a problem because you push down that confidence.
I've seen him with some smoke shows, like I'm almost mad that I taught him, like straight smoke shows. But I mean, I think it's and I've had a lot of experience with comics where like guys who I've helped, guys who've even gotten married because of my help. Like the list is endless. I don't want to blow anybody up, but I mean, dudes who have gone through breakups, and dudes who are married now, and guys that we'll talk about it off the air. Mm-hmm. But
you've saved some relationships and you've torn some apart, both necessary depending on what end.
I believe if you've punked out for so long that the girl is going, get the hell out of my house, you really have to leave, because by you trying to explain, like you can't, like I have this thing I always say is make ultimate decisions, don't give ultimatums, because an ultimatum is a negotiation in a situation where you don't know what your leverage is. Mm. So if a woman is going, get out, you have to get out, because and then leave and never speak to her again, because any conversation from somebody who says you need to get out is she's finished with you. The only way you have any negotiation is if she goes, well, I miss you, we should talk.
Right.
Then now she's saying, okay, I'm interested. Now if she says we should talk and just be friends, I don't need your friendship. Just keep it moving. Kick rocks.
Right.
So, but if she's like, well, I just feel like we shouldn't end it this way, and she's hinting to, well, what do you want to do? But once she presents that way, maybe I made a mistake. But what I've seen more often than not was where a guy goes through a breakup and then he hangs around the girl. And he really becomes her rebound guy.
Yeah.
Because he provides everything that she needs, and then she screws some other dude. So he provides the comfort, the care, the concern, the safety, and then she
all
goes
the stuff
and bangs
that makes a breakup hard.
Right.
You're
now,
helping.
That's what we do. I get it.
Yeah. And then when you break off, when you leave them, and then I had a guy who was married 15 years, and his wife, she forced him to go to therapy. He went to therapy. When he went to therapy, she goes, I want a divorce. So he calls me up frantic. I said, give her the divorce. So 2 days later, he filed for the divorce. They're eating dinner. Now, she just said, I want a divorce. The bell rings. She gets served. She's pissed off. He goes, this is what you said you wanted. Now you got what you wanted. He goes, what do I do now? I said, now you give her the divorce in practicality. And he's like, what does that mean? I go do everything you ever wanted to do. So he's ice fishing, hunting, going to strip clubs, drinking 20 to 30-year-old, 25-year-old scotch, smoking cigars, hanging out all night, doing everything that he ever wanted to do. And he's having a ball. Then he comes home one day, and his wife finds his soon-to-be ex-wife finds a hair on him, some stripper hair on him, and she puts it on the sink, and he calls me, man, I think I screwed up. He goes, what do? I go, leave the hair there. So now the hair is sitting on the sink. Because her leaving the hair there is like, aha, I got you, and him leaving it there is we're getting a divorce. I don't give a fuck. This is what you want.
These are all make-believe rules to begin with.
This is what, right? This is, you wanted this divorce. I'm giving you this divorce in practicality.
That's Cinnabon, right?
And yeah, that's Cinnabon. And then she literally has to start thinking about, well, wait a minute. Am I really ready to leave this and give the comfort of everything am I ready to leave him and the comfort? But if you provide the comfort while she's screwing some other dude, why does she have to make a decision? She doesn't have to make a decision.
Yeah. So, now, Vito, your chick left you too, right?
Yeah.
And that crushed you.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Did she say why she was leaving you?
Things got really bad when I graduated college and I stopped working at the bar. Mm-hmm. And then I was like applying to other places in like radio and film and stuff.
So you were home.
Yeah. I was home and I wasn't getting a job. And she was like, why don't you just go fucking work at a Starbucks or something? I was like, I don't want to work at a Starbucks. I'm trying to get like an actual job for like a career. And then she just got really judgmental about that. And then when I ended up getting a job in radio, at the end of the relationship, she'd like still depend on me, like, oh, you want to come over at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m.?
And you did.
And I'd be like, no, I've worked tomorrow at like 9 a.m., so I'm not going to fuck up this job if you left me a few months ago and you're still doing this.
Right.
And then I think she got bitter that then at this point I was putting the job over her. And then it was just a really weird breakup.
But when she goes, are you putting the job over you? You go, and she asks, you go, absolutely. I'm absolutely doing that. So we should just not talk. But having that communication is still comfort. That gives her that comfort. Like I have this thing I say that a woman never leaves a guy because he cheats. And when I say that, women go nuts, but it's really, so a guy will cheat. Now, so there's a few principles that go into play. Number one, if a woman finds a man attractive who other women find attractive. We all know that. If a guy walks in all the women are going, well, who's this guy? And why are these women so happy that they're with him? The other thing is that a woman only dates a guy who she thinks is better than her. Now, better is a relative term in terms of what she thinks is better. So when she goes, go get a job, she's looking at the fact that you're not at work as you're not good enough. Like you should be working, you should be providing. So when a guy cheats, and guys process cheating a little bit differently. When a guy gets cheated on, he goes, that slut, right? And he blames it on her. When a girl gets cheated on, she processes it like, why was I not good enough?
Yeah, I've heard women say that.
And so now what happens is with the cheating, what you do is you lower her self-esteem because now she's going, why wasn't I good enough? And you raise your value because not only does she know that other women find you attractive, but you actually slept with one to prove that other women find you attractive. So your value is higher. Her value is lower. She cannot leave with that disparity. But what she does do is she stays with you, and then she goes, you punk, you savage, you this, you're a dog. And then she disrespects you. And because you feel guilty about it, you go, I did screw up. So I'll take, I owe her this. And then she lowers your value in her mind every time she's disrespectful. And then when she lowers your value low enough that she feels as though she's better than you, then she can leave.
I've never heard this theory before in my life.
Interesting.
Fucking fascinating.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Dante Nero and Harry Turjanian are in studio. Dante and Harry co-host The Beige Phillips Show presents Man School, available on iTunes and on riotcast.com, on Twitter at Dante Nero and at Harry Turjanian.
What did you think of that, Gail? The theory?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's definitely interesting.
Right.
Is it 100% of the time? I don't know. But I do know that women definitely have that gut reaction. Like, that's what is so
That never occurred to me.
incredibly hurtful. I think it's why women take it in such a painful way.
Right, because they don't process it the same way.
It doesn't, exactly. It's not like they're just like, oh my God, he's clearly a piece of shit and I'm a great person. They go, oh my God, what am I? What am I that I couldn't give him something that he wanted?
Here's one thing I agree with, and I think Justin Timberlake is the perfect way of looking at it. He's an anonymous guy in a boy band. He dates Britney, and his career explodes, and none of the other guys were good enough to want to have a single career. Because all the young girls went, he's been with Britney.
Right, he's great.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that he doesn't have talent, but so did all the other guys.
Wow, you know what? I need another cause.
Well, Harry, thank you. You're done, Patty Wan, and I'm going to come on now and be part of it.
Again, I step into the studio. I wasn't expecting a life-changing event, whether it's a boxing match or losing my gig as a co-host or shaving my head.
You know what? It was funny. I used a different analogy. Like, for instance, you know, people talk about Tiger Woods giving up $50 million to a basically a nanny, and guys argue about that all the time. But Kevin Federline won the game.
Right.
He got a girl who was better than him, and then he got the alimony. But no guy nobody's walking around with Kevin Federline t-shirts. Like, yeah, we all think he's a douche.
Yeah, everybody mocked him.
Even though we argue about the fact that there's this disparity of divorce and what a guy has to give up, that, you know, all the time we go, Tiger was this Swedish chick has never putted anything. She's never hit a golf ball.
Long game is pretty decent.
Yeah, is it though?
Well, with the club, I mean, she hit him in the head.
Yeah, but we don't tout guys, because what manhood means to us is pretty universal. It's how we see a man and how he's taking care of his kids and keeping himself.
So you feel like he didn't, like, men on a gut level feel like he didn't get it the right way. He didn't make his money.
What kind of guy is this?
Yeah.
He's a douchebag.
That's interesting.
You know.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. Dude, so great to see you again, Dante.
You know I love seeing you.
Yeah, and I love a Muhammad Ali shirt. Still the greatest.
Yeah. Dante Nero and Harry Turjanian have been in the studio. Dante and Harry co-host The Beige Phillips Show presents Man School, available on iTunes and on riotcast.com, on Twitter at Dante Nero and at Harry Turjanian.
I'll say this, Chris, your enthusiasm wasn't into it. That wasn't the kind of exciting live read that I love to hear. All right, that's it for us. We're back in here tomorrow, and we'll see you again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!